The FNRad Snowboard Podcast is presented by Flojoy Water. Season 7 is sponsored by Burton Snowboards, founded in 1977 by Jake Burton Carpenter. With nearly 50 years of industry-leading innovation, Burton's purpose is clear: make great products, minimize harm to the environment, positively impact the lives they touch, and have as much fun as possible. All the Burton gear I've been riding is next level. For listeners in the Lower Mainland, Burton recently opened a flagship store on West 4th in Vancouver, as well as a partner store in Banff with Unlimited. Visit your local Burton retailer. Bluebird Coffee Tuning and Rentals in Squamish, BC is the coolest new stop just 20 seconds off the Sea to Sky Highway on your way to Whistler. Drop in for the world's best cup of coffee, killer smoothies, and a true local vibe born out of 90s snowboard culture and music. They offer performance ski and snowboard tunes with state-of-the-art equipment. They've got premium rental fleets of Jones, Solomon, Libtech, and Burton, including Burton Step-Ons. And if you haven't gotten yourself one yet, Bluebird will even sell you a rad power bike. These bikes are so fun. For a blend of expert knowledge, convenience, and a lot of charm, stop in and say hi to Bluebird, the raddest mandatory new stop on your way to Whistler. Fixed bindings are tool-free bindings that focus on dependability and strength while providing ease of adjustability. I've been riding fixed bindings for a couple of seasons now and have had exactly 0 issues. It's no wonder they've got a lifetime guarantee. Do yourself a favor and visit fixbindingco.com. Lock in and let go with Anon's magnetic face mask integration, built to keep you seamlessly covered from the elements, and Magnatech quick lens change technology that makes swapping lenses effortless even with gloves or mitts on. Enhance contrast and clarity with perceived lenses and get the most accurate perception of the surrounding environment regardless of light and weather conditions. Clarity starts where distraction ends. Full face coverage, complete presence. Check out Anon's helmets, goggles, and MFI face masks at an Anon dealer near you or at AnonOptics.com. Hey listeners, this one's for you. Upline Brewing is beer for snowboarders by longtime Pacific Northwest shredder and FNRad listener Carl Montoya, who started Upline so you can crack a cold one anytime. No buzz, no slowdown, just good vibes. Unlike most NA beers, these actually taste legit, and they're brewed with adaptogens for a mellow uplift. The Steezy Golden Lager and Crushin' IPA come in at just 25 and 50 calories and feature artwork from local legends like Quincy Quigg. Have one at lunch, grab another lap, hit the after party, and still wake up for first chair or the bank slalom podium. Drinking regular beers, toss some Uplines into the lineup. The natural electrolytes help you stay hydrated and keep crushing. FNRad listeners score 15% off at uplinebrewing.com with code FNRAD, or set up a subscription, save more, and never run out. Upline Brewing, brewed to adapt, crafted to elevate. Support also comes from the Pro Standard. Ken Achenbach has done it again with the push-button quick release for step-on bindings. Get them at prostandard.com before they sell out. Pacific Border, Vancouver's premium snow skate and surf shop on West 4th Avenue. Check out pacificborder.com. And 1910, the collaborative artworks of Jamie Lynn and Scove, two friends on a creative journey together, bonded by their love of art, music, and snowboarding. Go to the number 9, teen10.com for their latest collection. We need to thank our friends at Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, and Cypress Mountain for their continued support of FNRad, as well as essential toothpaste tabs. I love them, I use them, go buy them today. This week's guest is Clayton Larson, the co-director and editor of the newest whiskey documentary, Our Kind of Chaos. Clayton filmed for the Skids and Sandbox movies, following his dream of making snowboard movies. I caught up with him between the 2 Whistler Film Festival screenings of Our Kind of Chaos and had this awesome conversation about his life in snowboarding.
A big thing was that to not glorify it, but also not demonize it as well.
Yeah.
Because there was actually still value to what they were doing there. You
100%.
know, they were still like what those things were was they didn't necessarily, it wasn't the healthiest way, the healthiest way of doing it, or they didn't really have all the tools to do it, but they were still expressing themselves. They were still saying like something's wrong and kind of doing something, right?
I mean, so, on a long enough timeline with enough case studies, I think that might have been the healthiest way to do it, is find a community and let yourself just go to the edge of reckless abandon, whether it's like, you know, losing your mind in some weird competition, or, you know what I mean? Like becoming like a chess master, or like holding yourself up in a cave somewhere, like finding a bunch of friends and snowboarding every day and partying every night. Like, fuck, that might be the
and I
way
think
to do
having
it.
snowboarding, like obviously connected to that was a real big part of it too, you know? That was like something like healthy for them to be doing, you know? And like, you know,
like physically healthy and emotionally healthy.
Yeah.
Right. Like just getting their brains out of the loop of either whatever it was that was going on.
Because even, you know, it talks about it in the film, like that snowboarding was an escape, you know? And I think even across the board, when you just talk to, you know, anybody, whether they've, you know, dealt with a lot of stuff, like it is a common thing that comes up for like years, where people would say like, what's something else from snowboarding that you get? And it's like, it is that escape. Yeah. And I remember even like snowboarding, like starting up Seymour. I was just talking to Brendan about this, Brendan Keenan. Yep. Is like, even knowing then that it was like, when I went up there, like the thing that was like amazing was like when you're up there, everything just sort of went away. Everything. And I think even we were talking about like Seymour, even in particular, because it had like an auditory kind of thing to it. Like if you're riding there at night, you know, and like the other thing too, like you can ride POW at night. So it's like another kind of thing to it, but just that it's like so silent up there, but there was just that like kind of hum of like the old chair. Totally. And it was like, just like the, you know, fresh air, everything, but it was like, it was like you were in like almost like a little like chamber of like stuff, and it was just sort of, it was a big escape. Yeah, kind of a snow globe, right? And and then you look back, I've talked about it on the show 100 times. If you've got a friend up there and you're on the chairlift and you say, okay, now look back, and it's like a clear night and you see the city, like it's an audible gasp. And even when you do it, you're like, oh, wow. Like every time. Yeah. Every time. Still, even like today, like forever. It's like if you're up there and you're about to drop in, like you just like, you kind of just got to look at it for a while, you know? Can't believe that we're here. But I've never heard about the sound of it. Nobody's mentioned that before, but it's absolutely true. Yeah. You're at the end of the road. You see such a busy city. You'd think that you'd hear like the din of a city or something, but you're in the woods. Yeah. You're going to hear the ravens. And you're going to hear the chairlift squeaking and the sound of people having a good time. Yeah. You know what I mean? The edges scraping along or whatever, people hitting jumps. Yeah. All that stuff. Like it's like, and I think it kind of echoes because of like where you're at. I think probably, I mean, a little bit maybe from the snow, a little bit like insulated. So it's like everything it's like almost like I can't like ASMR or whatever. Like sure. That, a little bit. While you're like describing kind of it right now, chamber, I'm thinking about how if I was blind, having been sighted this whole time, hearing Mount Seymour would be very unique because it does echo differently because of that same thing that we're so attracted to up there, that it's a big skate park, that it's just transitions and valleys everywhere. It's not a big dome of snow, you know what I mean? It's not one big. I saw people that were skiing today that I was like, oh my god, if you only were an indoor snow dome skier and you got through all the lessons and now you got to the advanced level hill, which is just like a straight down thing, right? It's like flat and totally groomed. Yeah. And then you got to Whistler, like right off the gondola, you're in a lot of trouble. There's trees over here. It's kind of like mogul-y. It's not like there is no practice for that at an indoor. They don't have moguls. They don't have. You're literally hitting a padded wall if you hit the wall. Yeah. And I'm just seeing someone like pointed backwards, and I'm like, wow, I wonder
I wonder what that experience would be like to be all of a sudden in these giant mountains, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not exactly that experience, but like the other thing that kind of added to Seymour for that to me as well, was that like, I came to Canada when I was 11 from South Africa.
Oh yeah.
So, how I kind of like got into snowboarding was like I was really into like skating, and I was like really into surfing. At that point, I lived in like Johannesburg, which is like landlocked, but I was just like, my dad used to surf, and I was just like really kind of like just into that.
Yeah.
And like into skating, but just sort of like getting kind of there. And then when we were moving, just as like a thing to kind of like make me stoked to like move to Canada, my dad like knew nothing about snowboarding, but was just like, oh, like you can snowboard there. So I was just like kind of took to that, and I was like, oh, that's sweet. So I would buy like European snowboard magazines you could buy at like specialty magazine stores in
like
South Africa.
Board or something like that.
It was funny because it was called Suck, like Snowboard UK, just like SUK.
Fuck yeah.
And it was like a ton of like dry slope stuff.
Shout out Suck.
Yeah,
that's
so like,
epic, man.
Yeah.
That's right on the money there.
I think I probably had an onboard as well, but that one was the one that stuck out. Like you could get like, it was like Suck. Mm-hmm. And then, but it was a ton of dry slope stuff. So that was like, even though I had never done that kind of stuff before, but that was just a thing that I sort of just thought was part of snowboarding.
Sure.
Was dry slope stuff, because that's what they were doing. And that was their access in the UK.
That's amazing.
So then like moved here, I kind of just thought everyone would snowboard, and it would kind of like be like,
like all people,
just like the
culture, whole class, everybody.
Yeah, like the culture would just be what I was seeing in those magazines. Totally. But then when I got here, I was like, it was like the last half of grade 7.
Oof.
And like I moved to Deep Cove, so like right at the base of Mount Seymour. I didn't have any idea about Mount Seymour or anything, so I just ended up there, and then became friends. There was like, oh yeah, so I just expected everyone to skate, snowboard. Like nobody in the school snowboarded except for 2 guys, or 3 actually. It was like the younger brother, but like 3 guys snowboarded. It just out of luck, one of the snowboarders was picked to like show me around the school.
No way.
Yeah. So like he like showed me around, then just kind of became friends, and I was like, oh, like just kind of talking about like skating or wanting to snowboard and stuff. So they were like, okay, sweet. And then the other guy, Mark Levesque, he was actually like, not to get sidetracked, but he was Derek Scott's neighbor.
Oh, sick.
But anyway, so he was like, yeah, come over to my house. You have to watch these like we'll show you like snowboard movies.
Sick.
And that was like back to back Whiskey 1 and Whiskey 2. And when I saw those, I was just like, oh yeah, like that's Mount Seymour, like the mountain like that you can see. Like it was like when you're in the cove, like it was just like, that's the mountain that you can see up there. Like a bunch of this stuff is like filmed up there, like, and I was just like, oh, this is like, you know, amazing, like where we've like ended up. Yeah. So then like kind of just to that point of what I was sort of getting at before, was like kind of going from like, you know, never being in mountains at all before. Like you could go in South Africa, you could go to like Hog's Back, which was just like basically like, you know, a little bit higher so that there would sometimes be snow there. You can actually, there is a ski hill in South Africa, but anyways, so just like going to, like I'd never been to that or anything. So like going from that and then all of a sudden being up in the mountains. Yeah. And then also just like at that age kind of thing. And then a little bit too of just like the culture kind of thing was like, it was one of the first times where I was just like alone from my parents as well. Right. So it was like, you could just go up there kind of with your friends and you could do your own thing. So that was a big part of it. But just that whole like sort of sensory thing and being up in the mountains was like definitely hit harder because I'd never experienced any of that stuff. So it was going from like never experiencing it to then being like right in it. and just like taking all of that stuff in was like, yeah, even as a kid, I was just like, this is like such an amazing like environment to kind of be in.
Yeah, a lot of us are from Ontario. A lot of people moved over here intentionally to get into that exact thing.
Yeah.
But you're reminding me, like, my friends that grew up in BC, right, that would go 5 times with the school in grade 5 or whatever, you know, the appreciation that we have for it having been somewhere that doesn't have it, to moving somewhere where it is kind of taken for granted. Like, you can kind of tell when people grew up here versus when people moved here from somewhere else.
Oh yeah, I mean, even
in their chargingness of it, or they're like, there's something that lights them up a little more than like, oh yeah, this is my backyard. This has always been my backyard.
Yeah, I mean, I even got like kind of ended up taking it for granted too.
Of course, you're from Deep Cove, right?
So used to it, but yeah, it was like an amazing growing up there.
I went to Seymour for the first time in 1993, and then, so what is that? 20 years later, 30 years later, I learned something new about Mount Seymour, like the cabin run way out in the back. I was like, wow, this was here the whole time. This is cool. This actually adds to like why Seymour is so special. Yeah. Because getting up there and hiking up to the peak, there's nothing like it on the North Shore. Nothing to compare to it, probably even at Whistler, actually.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Those jumps and the backdrops and the thing.
Yeah.
No, man, you're in a magical place, and it's amplified that same thing you were just talking about. Now you're hearing just whiskey jacks, and you don't even hear the lifts anymore. You're hearing the trudging of feet, and the packing of snow, and the silence of someone smoking a cigarette while they're resting, trying to think of what trick they're going to do out in this. It's like ASMR. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that was another level to it as well, that it's like kind of going from just that to like, even when we were young, we would like hike the peak, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Like it's probably not great how easy access it is, but
no,
I mean, but it's relatively safe. But we were going up there like just constantly from when we were kids. So that was another thing too, of just like almost, especially at that age too, like you feel like you're like mountaineer almost, where it's just like, but going from like not having access to that at all to just like being able to get out there. And even just like, then another thing of like being on the peak looking down at everything too, looking at the city and stuff is just like something else.
It really is something else. You saying you guys kind of thought you were mountaineers is making me realize, like, I was very late to the beacon, probe, shovel, backpack idea because I was like, it's heavy and it's shitty and like, whatever. If I go, who cares? But that, like, no, I'm supposed to be looking at, I just didn't understand how serious, like, people that hike in the backcountry, like, I met Tom Burt really early on, and I was like, how come you weren't wearing like our sponsor's jacket when you went to the big mountains in Peru or whatever? He's like, fuck, dude, I'm sleeping overnight in a tent. I'm not wearing 5,000 mil Ultrex, bro. Like, I'm a mountain person. Yeah. And I was like, because I'd ridden with him. I'm like, he's a great snowboarder, an incredible snowboarder. Yeah. But I only had that view of the mountaineering part was just to get you to the place. It wasn't like, I never enjoyed hiking up the gut of the Seymour first peak.
Yeah.
I can remember Jamie Sherritt doing it. He denies that he ever smoked cigarettes, but like smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, trudging up that last, you know what I mean? Like, fuck this. We're just going to send it straight up the gut.
Just go straight up. Not paying attention to like any...
Grabbing trees and like a branch breaks off. You grab like the full base of the tree. You're like in avalanche terrain.
Because like, the face of the peak, like it can go.
The whole thing can go.
If you're at the bottom, if you're on or at the bottom,
you're in a train trap.
Yeah. The whole thing is a train trap.
The whole thing.
The whole approach to it. Like, you're just...
Right. And remember...
And you hang out, like hitting City Booter.
Yeah.
You're just in it.
That's what I was going to say. When you're hiking up for City Booter and you're trying to figure out how high up to hike. You know you need more speed, and you know
Yeah.
you should hike up more, but every step is like an insane amount of effort. So you hike up too low, then you drop in, then you're sitting there hanging out, right? Where it's just, you're going to be buried in 20 feet of snow.
Oh yeah. And it's heavy too.
Heavy.
Cause that's all just rock.
It's just a sheer rock face. Yeah.
Like in the spring too, like you can see it crack and come down.
Yeah. You can sometimes in that in run, I can remember packing snow over rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause back in the day, we didn't think about any of that stuff at all. But now, even like older, I'm like, I'm very aware of it. Even at Seymour, even though it is pretty safe, but it's like very kind of just aware of that.
Absolutely.
It was, and it was a kind of a funny story, like, and how we kind of got a little bit aware of that was actually because we were, like coming from Seymour, riding with Brendan. Like obviously, like Jeff was doing skids and Kevin was doing skids. That was the connection there, and then we kind of ended up.
Is Brendan older or younger?
Younger, yeah.
Oh, Brendan's younger.
Like Brendan Keenan, yeah. Brendan Keenan.
Oh yeah. No, Brendan is like. I called Jeff Brendan for the first 5 years of. I might have even. Yeah. Like I because Brendan was uber famous. Like he did really well.
Sure. Yeah,
on
definitely.
Burton, he was on the Burton A team. I thought he was from the States. Actually, he was living in the States at the time.
Yeah, he was on Burton for like a while. So for a while there he would have been the person that probably most broadly kind of known. Yeah, because I'm not paying attention like crazy. I'm seeing the skids videos in the shop because, you know, Keatley's working there and Kevin's a friend of the shop, and you know, we had whiskey, and then whiskey wasn't allowed to be played on the boardroom monitors because kids are in there. Yeah. And then the skids videos came out, and it was like, that's not allowed to be played for sure. Then they were like, actually, if we don't play the credits, we're okay. But it was like, well, you never go in and turn it off. Yeah. And so we exposed a lot of people to like that level of debauchery, because the skids was on par with whiskey in some ways. Yeah, for sure.
It was like a different generation of people.
Yeah, for sure. Like it was different. It wasn't as like, I mean, I guess it's just, it wasn't that same.
You know what it is?
It's
the same as everything. It's the same as like Cheech and Chong's first movie was the best. Yeah. Because they had years and years of material. And that's what, and you know, Mouse and Sean with those boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff were able to make just such a brilliant film. And then the skids guys are kind of copying, so they're just filming and putting whatever they get in there. You know what I mean?
And and I think it too, like there was like a kind of an intention there too. And I mean, I think like also too, I think it was just basically, I mean, it was just no one was as gnarly as Kearns and Johnson really. But I mean, obviously knowing now, it's just like there was a lot of stuff that, you know, there was reasoning for that.
Totally.
But I think it was just, you know, it was a lot of it was kind of emulating, but it still had a bit of safety to it, where like whiskey had no guardrails, no safety kind of
thing. When they're talking about the truck and the driving to Kelowna freezing cold, the truck with no doors with Slayer painted on the front, and drinking Listerine, like we're talking about a different level of debauchery that absolutely informed a generation of snowboarding. But like, we're gonna, you know, throw apples at cars or something, you know what I mean? We're gonna do something semi benign in comparison as a group. And that's kind of what Jackass became. It was like, let's take this energy and script it and write little things and just be derelicts, kind of. But, I mean, they did the same thing, like taking a shit in a toilet, the display toilet and smashing up a rental car and stuff like. So they did crimes. They did still do crimes.
Yeah, for sure.
But it wasn't documenting what they were doing in their regular life. Like they're not just going down the street destroying things and being assholes. Whereas Sean, it wasn't like, hey, let's turn up the asshole. It was like, let's just film what we're doing.
It was exactly what they were doing. And then, I mean, like for Whiskey 2, there were some skits, there were some like planned kind of things to it.
Yep.
But it was like, there wasn't a, like you get the sense with Jackass that it's like there was sort of like a time where it's like almost very much like a production of a TV thing where
absolutely,
it was like, we're filming, this starts, and you jump into that kind of thing.
They might have security guards.
That's just how they work.
They might have they might have security guards between them and the people that are going to try and stop them doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like they have a production crew. It's like, hey, hold on, these guys are doing.
And there was like an off kind of switch there where it was. I mean. Even some
like
of the
cut, and then it's like the whole crew relaxes, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, and the other part of it too is like, a lot of, the like stories and stuff too. Like another kind of just like difference there, I would say, from my perspective, is like, probably the gnarliest stuff that the Jackass guys did, and not taking away from that either. Like the stuff was hilarious and like amazing,
sure,
but probably the gnarliest stuff that they did was captured very well,
right?
But you would say probably the gnarliest stuff that Kearns and Johnson did, or through the whiskey stuff, was just like they weren't even, it was just stuff that they were doing. It wasn't like it was just ultimately to capture it.
It was really cool to see the animation. So you obviously worked with a very professional animator.
Yeah.
Like there, I mean, and whatever song you play at the end, I'm like, oh, that must have been half their budget just for that song for the credits. Because music is expensive, right?
Yeah, that was just like festival rights. So I don't think we'll actually be able to get like full rights for that.
Isn't that unreal? Isn't it unreal? Like, because music plays such a big part of the soundtracks of our lives come from these movies. But a lot of people don't realize, if you're not a filmmaker, that you can't just use The Who. You can't just use The Who, man. Sure, you just can't. Because if you paid for that, it's a gajillion dollars.
Yeah.
So, like they lucked out from being in this time where they're filming crimes. It's just a regular life. Yeah. They're using whatever music they want to use, and so they've got Slayer in there. They've got real expensive music. And,
sorry, I got mixed up. You're saying the credit song from Whiskey 2, like the
sorry. You're right. Sorry.
But honestly, for that though, like I mean, those soundtracks would have been like a ton. Like
beyond
the Who, Metallica, like
beyond
those, beyond.
So we lucked out that these guys were they just didn't know what they were doing,
but they did like democratize snowboard movie filmmaking. Because like before them, like maybe there was a couple kind of like rider sort of made videos and stuff, but it was mostly big companies, and none of those really went really big. And there was kind of like, you had to be able to like make it into that. And there was like, a lot of like obviously politics, money and stuff involved. But it's like those guys just went out and they just like made their own thing, and it became massive, right?
Massive, right.
So, I mean, that kind of just, obviously the thing of like, there's the obviously like influences of like, like Wildcats, Skids, everything that, like Party Snake,
so
everything else.
Many things.
But I would say even like it really was like a, like kind of paved the way in part to like even like Man Boys, right? So like I don't think that those guys would necessarily be like the influence for Man Boys or and like Sandbox too, right? But it's like I don't think it would necessarily be like you draw the line at like, oh yeah, we're influenced by that, but it definitely paved the way of like riders can get together. You can hire filmers, or you can film your own stuff, and you can make a movie, and it can be big, and you can control it. So they definitely did that, but then also kind of like, everyone in those movies of like Wildcats, and I mean, I can't speak too much for Wildcats. Maybe those guys got the Backstreet Boys rights and stuff like that. But like for skids, for a long time, we didn't do that. It was just sort of like how it was done. It was like,
so how do you get involved with skids? Like, so you're from Deep Cove. These guys are also Deep Cove guys.
So like a big thing, like how I got it, like how that happened was, like I was actually doing, I had like, because the thing of like being influenced by whiskey, I like always just wanted to make snowboard movies. I had no idea like how it actually worked or anything.
Right.
But we were just like making our own movie. It was like and we had a production company that wasn't anything. It was basically just like me and my friend, and we had a name.
You made up the name.
So
what
was
really
it
called?
Like anything, but it was Money Shot Productions.
I remember Money Shot Productions for some reason.
Brendan did rep it pretty hard. Like he had it on his boards and stuff, and he was getting like pretty good coverage then. So it was kind of like sick that he did that. But but yeah, we were like, I was gonna make this. We were making this movie. That was like, we were young and we were just like kind of going for it, like, and just really trying to like emulate, like make another whiskey basically.
Amazing.
But it was just like, it was just like crazy stuff in there. But then there was this. So anyways, we're filming for that, but just like being not really understanding like how anything worked or any, like, even for, I was editing it on like my friend's computer that I borrowed, or like doing stuff at school.
Sick.
And then we basically like had this whole movie done, but then I ended up like losing it because I just didn't even know anything about backing anything up.
Oh no.
I was like 17 at the time when I made it, which I probably should have known better. But
so
just
it crashed
then,
and
it crashed
it's gone.
And I lost like the whole thing.
Oh
but
my God.
through that, like I had filmed, like Brendan had a full part in that movie. So I was filming with Brendan like up Seymour.
What were you using to film?
I can't even remember what camera I had. It was like an old like Sony.
Like a VX or something?
Those even a VXs
VXs were sick.
Like not even a VX at that point.
Yeah.
Like it was like an old, just like dad like Handycam. And I would like gaffer tape a fisheye onto it. Like
gaffer tape even.
So
it didn't thread on. There was no threads for it.
Or anything. And I would just had a fisheye and I would just like tape it on.
And did it work?
It worked. Yeah. But it was like crazy because it was like you would kind of just commit to, because it was like such a production that I was just like, well, I have the fisheye taped on, so I'm just gonna film this with the fisheye.
Everything's fisheye today.
Yeah,
it's
so
not
like,
coming
and then you
off
like take it off and you're like,
yeah.
well, I'm just gonna shoot it long lens because like I don't feel like taping this thing on.
Dope.
So anyway, so I lost this whole thing, but I had all like it was even before I lost this, but I had all this footage of Brendan, and then it was like those like Kevin, Keatley, Jeff had made whiskey, or sorry, had made Skids, the first Skids, and kind of just put it out. It was just like a fun movie that they made.
I think it was free. Yeah,
it was free.
Yeah, they put it on the
kind of
by the till,
out.
And so any kid could just grab it. And then when we watch it, we're like, oh God, what have we done? We would give it away. Like there's like nudity. There's like crimes. There's
And then so we like they put that out. Then they were wanting to do Skids 2. It was actually Evan Chandler Sones edited that movie. A lot of people don't really know that, but
Skids 2 or Skids 1?
Skids 2. And
ECS did the editing.
He had his own thing that was freeloaders, which like at the I mean still even now, like I have a VHS of it. I'm meaning to digitize Freeloaders. That was his own movie.
Where's he from? Is he like from out in the valley or something?
No, he's from like the Seymour area too.
Damn.
He was like outside of the Cove. He went to, there's like 2 high schools there. He went to the different high school, Windsor. So he was like 2 different kind of crews, but you would like kind of see everybody up there. So when those guys were doing Skids 2, Evan was like far and above like the best like editor. Like he had such a sick style. Like he has like so many like crazy cuts. Like if you go back and you watch Skids 2, you can see that style. There's just like so many quick cuts, things cut in everything, and like everything is just like, it's sick. Like
I love it.
I mean, I would say, like I say was, but it was like even today going back there's like he did that like amazing. So at the time, it was just like, you know, like Evan was like the shit for editing. So they brought him on for Skids 2. And then I had all this footage of Brendan, and then Brendan had a lot of stuff with them as well. So like Brendan was going to get last parts. So I just like gave them this footage. So like, I mean, I grew up, I went to school with Jeff and stuff. So he kind of like, you know, knew us as well, but that's kind of how I got on the sort of like in there with Skids.
Yeah.
And then, so I lost this movie, and then I
yeah. How do you feel about becoming a contributing filmer for like a legitimate movie? Like
it was amazing.
Because you're trying to make your movie. How good would your movie have been, or did you eventually end up making it?
No, like I never did. Like I lost.
Once it was lost, and you're like,
once I was lost, like
it's too much.
From what I know now,
again.
it would I could probably have saved it, but just at the time, I didn't really know anything. I was pretty fucking dumb, to be honest with you, when I was a kid.
Sure.
But like, just naive. I didn't really know like much about anything. I just really wanted to make snowboard movies, but I didn't go into it like learning a lot. I just really wanted. It was like more enthusiasm than like actual like skill at that point.
That's why still like, I look like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't listen to people that are skilled that are telling me, hey man, there's like, you need to go learn some stuff.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of fun to just like do it. That's the fun part of it. If you're trying to go and learn some technique or whatever, and you get indoctrinated with what's right and what's wrong.
I definitely,
then you would never get started. Just go and do it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I definitely believe in that. Like still, I'll like come back to kind of finish what I was saying. But like, I definitely believe in that. Like that just sort of like, teaching yourself how to do something. Like I got no problem with like going to school or doing it, learning it a different way. But there's if you're like a self learner or anything like that, and that's the way you do it, like you can do anything that way.
That was, this is pre YouTube. Now you can sit and watch a bunch of YouTube videos and get educated on pretty much anything you want to do. You want to fix your car, you want to fix your sink, you want to make a snowboard movie, like that you can watch YouTube videos. Yeah. But the main thing is then you need to go do the thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so I think a big thing, like, you know, I never went to any school. I never did really much anything, and it was just sort of figuring it out. So like, not saying that's the only way, but if it's something you can definitely do, I think there's a benefit too, to just like kind of, it takes you longer, but when you figure stuff out yourself, it's just like, you're not really worried too much about the rules so much about how like doing stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so anyway, so I lost this movie. I was stoked that everything made it into Skids 2, but I was like real just bummed. Like I was like kind of gutted, because at that point too, like, I mean, I like, even in like high school, being younger, like I had a reputation of just being like a drunk, really. Okay. So it was like everyone kind of sort of joked that it was just like, you know, I was going to be too like wasted just to even make a movie. And then I basically got it to like right to the finish line and then lost it. So I was just like, fuck, like, you know, I kind of just like, what everyone said I was going to do, I just kind of did. So I was like, that hit me like hard. And I was like heading down to Brennan and Jeff's house, just like from my house, just to like go hang out one night, like in the fall. And I was like, fuck, it would just be so much. I remember like clearly thinking about this, like as I was heading over, I was like, it would just be so much easier if I could just like film for Skids 2. Like I'm just like, you know, like that would be great if I could just like, or if I could film for Skids. And then I was hanging out there. Kevin ended up being there that night. And then I was just like, as he was like leaving or whatever, he was like, oh yeah, I meant to like talk to you about something. I was like, yeah, for sure. He's like, would you be down to like film for us for like the next Skids? Wow. And I was like, yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. I was like, yeah, those like moments sick. Are the best.
I mean, there was, and then he gave me a better camera. I totally forgot what fucking camera it was even. That's then, fine. But it was like another more like pro camera that actually like I could thread a fisheye onto.
Killer.
Like with a fisheye, that was kind of like part of the pay. I mean, there wasn't it wasn't a great thing, but it was like there wasn't much money in those movies and stuff. And at that point too, I was just like young, and then ended up also, and then also like I could go and like just like live at his house or like stay at his house as well.
Up here,
up here, yeah.
So that was like a big thing as well too. I think too, looking back in it now, actually there was like a bit of a misunderstanding of like, he was saying I could, whenever I came up, I could stay there, but I took it as like, oh, I can live there. So I just came up and I stayed.
Yeah, made a room, like, and now this is where I live.
Yeah, but it was amazing because it was like Jeff lived there.
Oh wow.
Gerard Sangston, who was like a pro snowboarder from Australia.
Sick.
He was like, people say he's like the Peter Line of Australia.
I love
like,
that.
He's like Banger was just like what his like nickname was.
Banger.
Mikey HK lived there as well, so it was like a sick kind of group of people, but it was just like packed, and it was like just crazy, like all the stuff that.
What time? Yeah, what time is this?
That would have been
early 2000s.
Early 2000s. So that like I graduated 2001. I think it would have been like 2002.
Yeah,
I think 2002, 2003. All that's kind of like.
You're embedded with these guys.
Yeah, so that was
and snowboarding amazing. Is exploding every year. Yeah. It's more and more and more. Everyone's like, there's money in it. Like is that when Nike does the build out at Seymour?
No, that was a bit later. That was kind of then going into like kind of like early kind of sandbox times. But yeah, it was amazing. Like obviously, like I grew up with Jeff. He was like I felt like he was like my older brother, kind of thing. So that was like a great kind of connection to have there. And like Brendan Keenan and like other friend Nick Shoveldave, those guys came up and they like lived in Brendan's van. So it was just like,
sick.
And then, but I do a funny thing too about kind of connecting to the Seymour stuff, just like the peak, like the accessibility and just like how, unprepared we kind of were, but we got, just because we could go there and we'd been going like into like the like backcountry for like years. Right. And we were obviously just like, we should have been probably more prepared than we were, but like, you just have this real comfort. So like being out in the mountains and stuff, we just had this real comfort. And that first year that we came up, like, I really don't understand. I don't know why, but somehow when we were going to go up just onto like Whistler or Blackcomb, I think it was Blackcomb. Yeah. So at that point, like Kendra Starr, like female pro snowboarder.
Yeah.
She rode for Option. And for whatever reason, like I think she was just, because Option was sponsoring Skids 3 at that point. So she was like, she'll go and get some shots, and she was going to like go up the mountain with us, and we were going to go like hike like backcountry stuff.
Sure.
And then we just like went, I can't remember where the hell we were or like what the name of it is, but we were just like out there checking out like lines, walking all over stuff and everything. And then she was like, we like got back down, and she like talked to Kevin, and she's like, those kids are fucking way too confident out there. Like they're just like wild. Like they really need to like figure out what they're doing. So then kind of after that, like it was Kevin kind of like made sure that we had like Avi courses and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if it was necessarily that year, but he like kind of talked to us and was like, hey, like it's different than Seymour kind of thing. So we kind of like kept it under a bit, but that was, I think, definitely stuck with him, that like we would do like Avi courses and stuff going into like Sandbox. For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was just that hilarious kind of thing where it was like, we were just so confident. We're just like,
right. Like, cause you just hiking up.
We've been hiking since we were like 13, 14 years old.
There was never an avalanche.ca website to check what the peak avalanche danger is, or what. It was like, it's weird that it's come into play so much now that sometimes people are afraid to go like in resort. They're like, ooh, it's going to be bad today. I'm like, there's 10,000 people going up there to just put tracks and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Like it, I mean, even now, like thinking about, I haven't gone sledding since like 2011.
Oh wow!
So I've been like out of it. I mean, we can kind of talk about that, like kind of chronologically, sort of thing, like
up
the whole
to you,
like
man.
Sandbox stuff and everything. But like looking back, like looking at what people do now and how prepared they are now, even back then, for what we thought we were like really prepared. And that was kind of across the board, like everybody.
Yeah.
You know, like we thought we were doing the best. We thought we were prepared, but just seeing like where people are at now and the knowledge that people have now.
Yeah.
It's like back then it was like, fuck, we were pretty loose. We thought we were doing the best. We were doing the best that we could, but it was like still even just like how much that's like progressed is great, but it's pretty wild to think back.
The more you know, the less you go. That's like the saying. And
for
we didn't know anything, so we went all the time. That was essentially it. Like those sleds pre 2013 are pretty crappy in comparison, right? Or was 2011?
Sure.
Maybe it was 2008 or something that there was a big change.
Yeah, there was like probably. I could be totally wrong. But like I think it was 2007 maybe. I think is like, or even a little bit earlier. Probably 2006 is when like the first Rev came.
Yeah, the kind of modern.
That was like where you were actually like you straddled the engine a bit, like the chassis totally changed rather than being like sitting behind the engine, which just made like no sense for like, for mountain riding, and that was like a game changer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I only sledded a dozen times max, and there's nothing more scary than that. Like that's the opposite of what. The opposite for me of how I felt climbing up Seymour.
Oh, for sure.
Climbing up Seymour, it was like. I'm kind of bummed that the chairs aren't running yet. Like we're going early. Like I would have no problem taking Mystery up to Brockton and then just walking up from there. That saves you an hour of hiking. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like you didn't feel like you were hiking. You felt like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go ride the lifts and hike up and hit a jump, and like it was like kind of nothing. Yeah. Whereas when you're on a sled, it's so gripping. Everything is so obviously. There's nobody there but your crew to help you when you're 10 kilometers from everybody else. You're trying to get away from everyone else.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, and it definitely gets like, I mean, I can't speak for everyone else. Maybe it was just my mistake, but it's like that too. If you're going all the time, you get like real used, kind of used to it, and you get a little bit like,
being used to that
about stuff as well.
We rode this yesterday, or we rode this aspect 2 days ago, or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, or just like coming out at night, like just all you know, like that just becomes like a normal thing. Like go in the dark, come out in the dark. Like I was just like, like even like I mean I haven't done it so long, so I don't want to be talking like I'm like all about sledding, but it's like understand. Even just like coming out of Seagram's and stuff, like the going the back way, there's like certain points where it was just like, if you're coming out in the dark and your sled goes down somewhere on like a, you're doing like a side hill.
Yep.
It's like you're, like you could double out and you'd still have like a bit of an issue. But if it's like that happens to a couple people, like there's a big thing there, but it's just like in your head, it's just like, well, don't drop your sled here, but just like make it. But it's like, it's.
I never got to that for sure. I can't even imagine what feeling, complacent in the backcountry of Whistler would feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. It's not. It's also too. I think like I think it's different now for sure. Yeah. But I think for me, anyways, was like. At the beginning of the year, you're doing, checking everyone's transceivers and stuff.
Totally,
you're
kind of like sometimes
you're into it, and you're like kind of like really into it, and then by the end of it, back then, I think it's different now. Just like from people that I know that are doing it, it's very different. But back then, and I can't say for for everybody, but I definitely for myself, you just get like. So kind of like sucked into that like tunnel vision of like you just gotta get shots. You're going like every single sunny day. You're like breaking something on your sled. You're like working that night to get it fixed. You're sleeping for like 4 hours. You're getting up and then you're going. It's like at that point you're just like, I just gotta get going. I'm not gonna check you know, like I'm just not gonna go through a lot of these things, you know. So you get definitely complacent that way of just like that tunnel vision of just like going for it, and just like, I mean, it's also just like, I think it's a mentality too that I think a lot of people don't, or have kind of like gotten over a bit now, where it was just like, this is the most important thing like ever, like just nothing else matters, and just kind of getting into that mindset and that kind of like that drive, you know.
Yeah.
I think that goes to, I mean, for myself, it was like, you know, you put a lot of your like self-worth into that as well. So it's like, it just becomes something that you get so like tunnel vision and like sucked into, that it's just like, you have to pull something off that day, or like you have to do that, or like,
like getting your sled on and off a truck once that's like old hat for you, you know what I mean? Like you've got a little bit more swagger out there, and you're on a different program.
Yeah.
So like if you're not taking noobs out there that are like, are we gonna do like a beacon? Let's maybe bury a beacon and find it. You know, like let's do some exercise. You're with guys that you're like riding with every day. I noticed that with riding with crews that go together every day, that they're pretty loose on like, no, we're going to a dope zone, and that just means we're all just gonna try to go to a dope zone with the people that we have on our sleds.
Yeah.
And I mean, if something is happening avalanche safety wise, I didn't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe the first guys that get there are doing something. I don't know though.
Yeah. And not to say, I don't want to like be throwing other people under the bus like that were like in like my crews and stuff, that we just didn't care. We were kind of doing the best, but I can say for myself for sure, there's this one story that I was just kind of talking about, kind of to like other people, just sort of to kind of thinking about this kind of topic that we were talking about, of just like the difference kind of thing. Like there was this one day going to Seagram's, like the back way, and we were like, it was, we must have checked that we were checking like Avi forecasts and stuff like that. Like we must have checked that it was like pretty high, but you would still go, you know, you would still go kind of thing. And I don't know, maybe it wasn't showing that it was as high as it was out there, but we were heading out, like everyone was kind of racing, and we were just like, oh, like we're like the first, you know, kind of people. So we're just like going. And then, as we're going up, you can just see like all of these cornices have like dropped off, and like, you're kind of seeing it, and you're like, oh, this is like not looking great, but it's like, you still kind of keep going.
Yep.
And then, we started to see that they were bigger, and then we just stop, and then we just see, treadway blast right past us. Okay. Like we're just sort of checking it out, and we're like, well, he went up, and then he comes back and blasts right by us. And we're like, okay, like did he see something else up there? Still like thinking like, okay, like what's up? You know what I mean? And then like, and also, I mean, Treadway at that time, like he is like, you know, a backcountry legend. He is like, you know, the most amazing sledder fucking, you know, knows everything. But especially then too, he was like a legend, you know, like I hadn't even like never talked to him. You just saw him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
But like, and then we were still just sitting there thinking about it, and we're just like, I don't know, should we like just keep going up and see like where his track went, and like come back and do it? And then like, as we're all just talking there or whatever, Martin Gallant comes ripping up, and he comes and he stops in front of us, and he's like, fuck it today, boys, like day off, like not worth it. And he like told us to turn around. He was just like, yeah, day off, like fuck it, sunny day off, doesn't matter, like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And like, but it's like, that's what it kind of took us to like be like, we should not go up there.
Totally.
Like I guess I shouldn't say we, but for myself, I was still thinking like, I don't know, I don't want to risk that it's fine. And that we could have done something.
Right. And Martin's not the kind of guy who's going to tell you like, turn around and then go shrub for himself. For sure. He's not doing that.
Like Martin was like, you know, the treadway for snowboarding.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it was just like, okay, yeah, like you're fucking going home. You know what I mean?
Friggin' believable.
But yeah, I just think back and I was like, I can only speak for myself, but for myself, it was like, I was still like, okay, like Treadway just went back, but I don't know, like, you know, maybe he's just getting, maybe like just getting other people. And I was still, and it looked fucking crazy, but it was still in my head was just like, I don't want to risk that it's like, that it's fine, you know, and that we're like blowing it. But then it was like Martin was just like, and it was like, okay, yeah, let's go.
I've been out there. Seagram's actually on a day where the community lost someone really important on that day. Like it was like a don't go day. And I showed up at the parking lot and was like, so we're just going to ride some trees, right? We're just like ride low down. That was what I thought the plan was. Yeah. And then the one guy goes, like kind of laughs like, no. And we went into big terrain. Yeah. And we saw a little bit of action, but like more slough than anything too stressful. And with everyone with radios on, it's such a different experience. Yeah. Because you can have eyes on someone, and just someone having eyes on you just makes you a little bit more confident, right? Like you hear like, okay, left now, and then you go left and you're like, and it's like coming down behind you, but it's not overtaking. I remember feeling like a mixture of like, okay, I guess it's safe, right? These guys seem to know. Yeah. Because the avalanche.ca forecast is like sort of says don't go ever. You know what I mean? And then then you kind of looking at it going like, oh, it seems like maybe they got a day old data in here, or these guys have boots on the ground reconnaissance. They've been out. It said no go yesterday. Oh, we rode all day. Okay. Yeah. And now it's like moderate. So it seems like less risky, and just go. Like, I don't know. I always put it in other people's hands. That was the scary thing for me personally.
Yeah, for sure.
Was that, and the not scary thing was that ignorance is bliss. I'm like, you guys say we're going to go. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we have a great day. But then when you get in the car and my wife's calling like, oh, someone died in Squamish Valley, and that's where you were, right? Like, she's like, you got to get an in-reach, man. I'm like losing my mind the last 6 hours. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? That's just the other side of the ridge we were on. Holy fuck. That's the same aspect that was like following me down the thing. I'm like, oh my God. Were we in a shitty spot?
For sure. I mean, that's the thing. You just never really know. Like, I think, and for me, like, you know, like I was even at a point, like obviously it's easy for me because I'm really far removed from it. You know what I mean? Like I haven't been out there for
14 years or something.
For so long. But I was even thinking like, oh, like it would be, you know, because I do look, not again to go back, but like the thought in my head was like, you know, when I would go like sledding when I was filming a lot, for like a lot of the years in the end, I didn't even bring a snowboard. Like I just would bring like a rider's board because I had a rack, like a board rack,
of course,
my sled.
Yeah.
So I just ended up being like a rider's board, and I just
so then
never
people could bring two boards.
People could bring two or do whatever, and then. But I was just like thinking about it. I'm like, fuck, like you know, just like faces or just anything that we were just sitting at like all day, or like nothing for filming or anything, but people would pay like a ton of money, or I would like lose my mind if I found that like lift access. I would be like, this is the craziest thing ever. And it was just stuff that I would just be like sitting next to like all the time, or just standing waiting around.
Isn't it funny to go back to Seymour? Now you're riding the mystery chair. Yeah. And people seem to be taking it kind of serious even, and you're like, I can't believe this isn't the same thing as that.
Yeah, but just like passing up on that, and I was just like, oh, like it would be, you know, sick now to do like split boarding and stuff, and I never really got anywhere, you know, like super far and even like buying one or whatever, but it was something that I was like kind of thinking about it, and then kind of after, you know, like what happened with Jeff, I was just like, I don't want to, and it's definitely easier for me. I don't have any like issue. I don't question anybody else that's like, was like close to him that is still wanting to do that or go out there. Like I don't question that whatsoever. But like for myself, just personally, I'm like, I don't want to go heli skiing. I don't want to go catboarding. I don't want to do anything. Like I want to stay on a chairlift. Like I don't even know if I really feel super great even about going up Seymour. Right. Like about not Seymour, but up the peak.
Yeah. Devin doesn't go into the backcountry. He doesn't cross backcountry lines. Like. Yeah. Because his kids have asked him not to, and he goes, "Okay, I'm just not going to." You have a kid now.
That is a big thing, having a son, and just like seeing that with Jeff was,
Well, I was gonna say, and sorry for your loss, because obviously, the industry and the community in Vancouver, especially in Whistler, really mourned that one big because it was so tragic and unexpected, and he's got Kyber and Leanne, and they're so public and so happy, and so like it's really huge.
Yeah.
But definitely when Craig Kelly passed, there are a handful of like prominent pro dudes that just tucked it away and just said, "I'm not doing that anymore." Same, like what you're saying, like, and I'm talking like even snowboarding. Even they were just fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And they had ridden, I think you're in a generation that's ridden stuff that really, it's the best stuff on earth. Like, that's what you were just saying. You're sitting there as a photographer or as a videographer, and you're looking at the thing beside you.
Yeah.
And it's what people pay $10,000 to go and stay in a chalet, rustic chalet. And hike up with the split boarding. Like they pay a lot of money to get guided to where you're just sitting without a board. And you're just going like, I'm here so often that I can take this for granted. It seems insane. But everything changes, right? Like, so by 2018, 2019, with COVID and shutting down resorts and stuff, everyone moves into split boarding, backcountry access, and they have to double the parking lot sizes everywhere, and they're just still full.
Yeah.
And so, like, you got to experience it in this time when the riding was at the top level that it would ever get to. It's never, it may go past it in the future. Yeah. It's starting to approach it now. With the pros that are coming off the contest scene and going to the backcountry.
Yeah.
But they're being guided. Everybody's going out in a crew, and it's being very safe, like in a way that it's not as casual as it was. And as friendly as it was, right? Like as friendly as it was for you guys to just go there with your buddies.
Yeah,
and spend time with your friends in the mountain.
Yeah, for sure.
In the best mountain place in the whole world.
Yeah. And I think just like, I mean, again, and too, it was just, we're doing our best, but then I think too, like, I think it's kind of crazy. And like, in skiing, they've dealt with that like a lot for whatever reason, they've had a lot of loss kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like for, our generation kind of like, distant from like Craig Kelly, it hadn't really like faced anything like that.
Right. There was so much in our stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig
and the other part of it people. Too is like, Jeff was so prepared, he was so knowledgeable, so prepared.
That's why I bring up Craig. Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. It was like so knowledgeable, so prepared. They weren't doing anything stupid. They were playing it safe, and it was just, or doing, listening to guides, doing their thing, and just like, and not pushing it, not doing anything crazy, and it still happened, right? So it just makes it where it's like, I don't have any issue with people still going out there taking that risk. Like, it's a calculated risk. It's like your probability is like very low, but it's just like, that's what really just like hit me. It was just like, that's the only way I want to control it 100%. And the only way I can control it 100% is not
go. Yeah. That's what John Boffrey was saying early on. I didn't really understand
avalanche awareness or whatever. So they called it avalanche safety for a long time, and they do avalanche safety courses, etc. Now it's just called risk mitigation, right?
Yeah.
Because it's risky. It's risk mitigation, not you're not going out there safely. Yeah. You're mitigating how dangerous it is out there at any given moment, right?
Yeah.
That's I mean, it just makes more sense to call it that.
It's just for
you
100%.
Have to,
it's
right?
It's just mitigation for sure.
That's unreal, yeah. And so losing someone like Jeff is felt across the entire community, the whole world of snowboarding, because it's a reminder that it's risky. It really is risky.
Yeah,
it's crazy that you can't pay someone to take you safely into epic zones.
Yeah, for sure.
You just can't.
Yeah,
because that's not where it's safe. There's no other sport that has this, like there's not like a whole bunch of basketball pro players that,
for sure.
There's the concussion thing with NFL, but we've also got the concussion thing. It's like we got the concussions plus we've got avalanches are just too much. I heard one of my favorite podcasts, Pinch My Salt's like a surf podcast. And they're going, what's gnarlier, right? Like snowboarding or surfing. And they're just from surfing, they know like you can touch an urchin and like get locked up and and you're surfing. Like all the things that happen bad, you're also in water. You break your leg and you're like in water, and there's sharks and there's so it seems like way more gnarly. But I think the number of people that die surfing versus die snowboarding, I think it's probably 10-1 snowboarders, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
So it's a dismal topic, but it's a part of it's a part of the reality of the situation is that the amount of aliveness you feel when you are doing something that is actually risking your life, whether it's hitting a rail or just snowboarding in general, it was that before. It's not that now, right? Like I don't think people are going into Sport Check and thinking, can I get a package of death-defying snowboard gear? They're just like, I'm gonna go ride some groomers and take a lesson, right?
Yeah,
you're not at risk if that's where you are.
Yeah,
I mean, you still probably get hurt more than you would if you'd stayed home.
Yeah, for sure.
But over time, you'd probably be worse off sitting at your computer eating hamburgers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. So it's like it is that calculated risk and stuff. And like I was saying, like I don't judge anybody or think that it's stupid to do any of that stuff. But just for myself, where I'm at in my life and like having my son and stuff like that, I just like. Yeah, I can't do it.
So
almost, and it just like sort of like gut, like just not even. It's not even necessarily a choice. It's just like I can't.
Can't. Yeah. I remember going back to Cypress for backcountry, side country riding. Yeah. After sledding, and I was like, it's ruined.
For sure.
This is 2 turns in the backcountry, and we're low. We're in the trees. There's nothing exciting here. Yeah. But then. A year later, I just had amnesia to it. Now, all of a sudden, the smallness of the local mountains was like familiarity and felt safe again, like that safety thing.
Yeah, but also too, like just for full disclosure, it's an easy decision for me too. Like I'm not like nothing. I'm pretty far like removed from it, anyways. So it's like I don't like my livelihood's not based on that or whatever. I live on an island too.
Oh yeah, right.
So like on a Gulf island too. So
what did you get to as a rider? Like, were you a shop sponsored rider?
Nothing really.
Nothing. So like weekend, not a weekend warrior, but you were going like with your friends all the time.
Pretty much like from that, like I really did for me. Like snowboarding was tied into making snowboard movies. Like from when I saw Whiskey 1 and Whiskey 2, it was like that's what I wanted to do. I would have loved to be a pro snowboarder for sure. Like I still tried.
Everybody tries
stuff,
just
you know
by,
what I mean?
yeah, you're trying
You're
tricks
just
and
trying tricks
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like I never really like, but I mean, I had like a, just like, basic stuff, but it was, I was always 100% drawn to wanting to film and wanting to make the snowboard movie.
Cool.
For sure. So
Yeah.
it wasn't anything that I was just like, oh, like I was kind of bummed that I like couldn't do that. It was just like, I want to make the snowboard movie. Like,
yeah. We're very fortunate that the people who decided to become filmers and photographers did that, because what a beautiful legacy. Like if you just took everything, just stopped right now and said, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
All snowboard media. We're not taking any more pictures or filming. Fuck, we got a lot of good stuff. We nailed it. It's epic. Like there's such good, like invigorating images to get you hooked on this thing, to go out and do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the point of the films. That was the point of Whiskey and Skids and all that stuff, was like to invite more people. Like, hey, look, you don't have to be a normie. You can come out and have this incredible life with all these incredible people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like it was definitely, I mean, I definitely, from my experience, it was like somewhere where you like found your place, and like growing up too, like having snowboarding and skateboarding, like I couldn't imagine like what it would even be like not having that. Like I feel like you would feel pretty lost almost, like it was just to be able to be tethered to something that was like very, very open and very like kind of like fluid and kind of just existed everywhere, and you could kind of do it everywhere. You were kind of connected to like all these people through everywhere. You had all these like access to all these different like people that were like, like either pro snowboarder or
you
pro
still
skater.
do. I mean, we saw it at the movie premiere
for sure.
last night. The people that were there, it's like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
This is insane.
And also too, like, especially like Kearns and Johnson, really, like or like now, like very, very approachable. You know what I mean? Like they want you to, to approach, and they want to have a conversation with you, but also like, like it just, growing up, like it was like, the having your idols be like pro skaters or pro snowboarders, it was like those people were attainable. They were real people versus like, nothing wrong with it, but like say like your idol being Michael Jordan, like you're never like he's so distant, he's so far removed, like you're never getting close to him. You know what I mean? You can maybe touch him, get a signature or something like that, but snowboarding, even if you weren't physically close to the person, like you had an unvarnished kind of look at like who a lot of those people were, and
access,
you just kind of had,
total
you had
access,
something that
right.
you could kind of do, or you could kind of like try and emulate what they were doing and on like a smaller jump or something like that. But it was just, you had a lot of connection, but it was also, I think, that big thing where it was like, you're connected to this like kind of bigger thing that you just take a lot of, you like, whether it's like music that you're finding or just like, open to a lot of other, different ideas or like different, even like dressing, you know what I mean? Like you're not so just like caught into like, even when you're going through high school, like I remember from skating and snowboarding, we were almost like just totally knew that it was like anything that you're worried about in like high school drama or any of that stuff is just like bullshit, like it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Because even in our scene, it was like you were friends with people of like varying ages, but it was like up Seymour, like you were like friends with people from like all over the lower mainland. Like there was guys from like Langley, Surrey, like all these different crews, like Tawasin, like Coquitlam, that all came up there. So you had your own things. You would go to like your own parties. You would do your own thing. We would like come up to Whistler, where it was like you were just, your world was bigger than just this like little thing where it was like if someone didn't like you in school, it was this like detrimental thing. It was like, hey, if someone doesn't like you, like who cares?
No, that's a good point, right? Growing up in snowboarding and having a community, and it's a big part of it's confusing for me having had the question and answer after the movie, because it was so close to what was going on in the movie to hear those guys talking.
Yeah,
so I can't remember if Johnson talks about the freedom he found in a mosh pit in the movie.
Yeah.
Does he?
Not in the movie. That was in talking afterwards.
Right.
Just when there was a question about like the music.
The
there
music
was
and
like a parallel with like punk music and like stuff in those movies. I mean, there was other music too, but it was very much.
Yeah, so like
punk.
we
There was,
would
like, a
we
kind of
would
parallel there,
go to punk shows in Vancouver, and it would be mostly snowboarders. Is what it felt like.
Yeah.
In the early '90s, and there was like so. I really have to say it just because I've always been a huge fan of Sean Johnson as a snowboarder.
Yeah.
Before whiskey, he was one of the best snowboarders in the world. Great style, very squat, low down. His trick selection was like super progressive, like way beyond what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And a little bit of attitude, and the attitude's like kind of cool, like a Palmer.
Sure.
Like he was, I would have put him in an American category of super pro.
For sure. I mean, that's what a lot of people, like a big thing really was like at that point, what a lot of people say, just to reference there, was at a point he was like the only guy that could go to like US contests and have a chance at like podium, and like he could beat those guys.
Totally.
Like he was,
yeah,
for a while for Canada, he was the guy.
100%. And then even after that though, he was still the fucking guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even when he wasn't, like when it all blew up, and then you would see Johnson footage mixed in with like, now we're talking a different generation. You don't see KY footage from that time. He kind of drops out, like Kevin Young, who was also arguably really like incredibly good.
Yeah.
But you still see Johnson footage for another like 7 years or something. It's insane.
Yeah, because
he had a really good long career, and he was really adaptable.
Even his part in Whiskey 4 is like really good.
Yeah.
Like it's sick. Like going through all that stuff and like kind of looking at all those parts again, like that was a thing that was like stood out. Like you really kind of see his parts and you're like, holy shit, like he was really good. But then what really stuck out was that Whiskey 4 part was like, fuck, he's like, this is a really good part.
It's legit.
Yeah.
I think, and he said it after in the Q&A too. It's like, it's a hit and miss here. Like you can't really put out a great part of snowboarding if you're going to do a great part of partying.
Yeah,
like you kind of have to pick one. And they were trying to get that balance, right? Like where you win the contest, but you are still drunk from the night before.
Yeah,
right. Like that's how you actually win. You got Craig Kelly taking his bindings apart and building them back together and going to bed at 8 and getting a good night's sleep and waking up and stretching and doing yoga. And you've got Johnson competing against him, possibly beating him, having slept in a puddle of puke or something, or like in a bush, or been chased by the cops or whatever.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
There are parts of this movie that, having been huge fans of both the Seans, and a lot of the whiskey guys, where you just dug deep and got to the heart of things that are so mind-blowingly, like they went so far off the deep end and deep into the party that it is absolutely unbelievable that they pulled it off. It really is. It's absolutely unbelievable
that they were able to pull out of that, for sure.
And take the authentic thread of what was going on there. Yeah. And just switch gears and both have like incredible film careers. Yeah. The movies they made in snowboarding way after whiskey were so important. So important.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, but like both of them are like amazing like filmmakers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kearns, like easy, unarguably, like, you know, made like the best, like for that time period, the best movies, like no argument, hands down, best movies for sure. That was like the thing. You know?
He was working for the absolute best crew. He had access
and even
to
if
you're
judging those over, you know, all period of time, they're definitely like They're some
the
of the
pinnacle
greatest
time of
movies.
snowboarding,
Yeah.
and they're the pinnacle movies of the pinnacle time.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So it is pretty amazing. I mean, even just explaining that to someone who like didn't really know that, being
Right.
like, oh, like these two guys actually went on and they made like the best snowboard movies kind of ever, you know? And it was what they were really setting out to do
in the first place. Right. They kind of keep going.
Yeah.
But more quietly, they've made such a big splash with whiskey that it took them a little bit to get away from it. They had to convince people like, wait, no, we can make epic snowboard movies. And then when people bet on them, they're like, wow.
Yeah.
And then the thing from whiskey that was so attractive to so many of us, which was seeing ourselves reflected, our pain reflected in the footage of what was going on there.
Yeah.
You felt like, oh God, I wish I was a part of a crew that had each other's backs like these guys. Even though you could see they're taking the piss out of each other, you kind of felt like, obviously there's a group think going on here where there's a relative safety in the chaos.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that happens to be one of the most important things about making the best movies with the best snowboarders, is that like, hey, we're gonna act as a crew.
Yeah.
You're gonna say goodbye to your wife and kids, and you're on this project full time for the next 3 months.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I got you, and he's got you, and we've got you. But to make it the best, we have to step up our game, and you guys are already at the top of your game. Like, how do we do that? How do we do that?
For sure.
And I think there was a community aspect to that was
definitely
behind the scenes. Most people wouldn't know about it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
But having a Johnson or a Kearns there would really add to the crew. Would just we're a coherent crew.
For sure. I think definitely a through line for both of them really is commitment. Right. Like they definitely, like whether it was like whiskey or all those things to what they're doing now, or even like participating in this documentary, those guys like were always like fully committing. Right. Totally. So that was part of that, where it was like Kearns is like, you know, when you would have those talks, it's like, I'm going to commit everything. So I need that full commitment from you, or Johnson as well, would be like, you know, kind of like always sort of teaching people about that standard and kind of committing.
Very inspiring.
And
to have that guy look in your eyes and go, do you trust me?
Yeah.
Is like, no, like someone said it last night in the comments, like it's not what you would think, that if you're working on deep-seated issues within yourself and you open your eyes and there's Sean Kearns looking at you, he kind of represents something scary, actually.
Yeah, like you would think that would you would be the last person you would want to be dealing with, but it's like the opposite. But
it's completely the opposite.
But it's because it's still that commitment, but it fits the whatever, like, you know, realm it's in now, right? So it's different, you know.
Adapting,
and obviously now I think it's for both of them. It's like that commitment is not that it was those other places were necessarily bad,
right?
But it's like now it's in the best place.
Yeah,
like their commitment now is in the best place. It's the healthiest place, and it's like a place where it's actually like really like helping other people.
Totally. I mean? It feels like an archetypal story of like warriors that fought together in some great war. Yeah. And then now they're woodworkers and helpers in the community. Like it's literally feels like an ancient story or something. Yeah. These two guys did literal battle with the world. They battled the world, right? Because the world is telling you, as a man in the 80s and 90s, like, shut the fuck up. Don't talk about your bullshit girly problems. Like, no feelings. Yeah. And these guys kind of embody that almost. Like, we can take any fucking pain that
that's the thing.
Life has to fucking offer. Yeah. And then they realize, wait a minute, this is a bit of bullshit, because there's some hurting in me that needs to be expressed.
Yeah,
that's what we're expressing. Yeah.
So that's really the power of both of those guys have, right?
Mm-hmm.
You nailed it there, because it is like they embodied the thing that sort of like, you know, insane kind of old thing was that's what a man is. That's what gnarly is.
Yeah.
Those guys embodied it so much, and you cannot fucking argue that. You can't fuck with that. Like those guys were that like on steroids almost, right?
Yep.
But it's like now they're saying like, no, that's not.
It's almost like the leader of the army was like, you know what? Fighting wars is bullshit.
Yeah,
and you're like, wait a minute, wait. I've spent my whole life like building up to being like man enough to talk with you.
Yeah.
And now you're going to tell me that my feelings matter?
Yeah.
I can't fucking believe that.
It has that's the power that both
It's the power of both of them.
And it is too, like, you know, they do have that fundamental how can I help, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, like I can like you know, like in a way, like even like kind of like attest to what like Johnson he mentions it in the movie too, but he talks about it, you know, like he's always down to help. Mm-hmm. Like if he'll always pick up the phone, he'll always be down to help somebody. Yeah. And like so like when we were like sort of starting to do the movie, we had shot a bunch of stuff, and in my mind I was like, the biggest obstacle here is going to get Johnson to be down to
that
be
makes
involved.
Sense that
like
makes
that's
sense.
That's the one person that I think,
because he'd been tricked into the other documentary, and at the end of it he's like, what's the fucking point of this?
I was like, that's the person that I could see would just like not really want to do it. That's
totally
gonna be the biggest thing.
The linchpin.
And the other thing too is that if he wasn't involved, then it's just like it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
What I mean, you couldn't really do it.
It's absent.
So so it just doesn't really
absence,
work. But then I just was like, I think the best way that I am going to be able to like talk to him about it is like if I text him or something, and it's like it's just not going to come across great. So I mean, I did it actually with everybody. I thought it was just the best to just like cold call people.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of people were like, I was like Dano, I could just text him and be like, hey, can I like talk to you and stuff, or certain other people that were just pretty close, or like or current, you know, Kearns I could do that with, but like Johnson I hadn't talked to for a long time, so I just cold called him, and we had this, you know, like I didn't know it at that point, but I think it's because like if he hasn't heard from somebody for a long time, or like he wouldn't have had my number in his phone, if there's just a random number calling him, he'll pick it up just in case that it's someone that needs help.
That's borrowing someone's phone to be like, I'm fucked, bro.
Or just that
I need help right now.
That even doesn't really even know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that someone's just like call Sean Johnson, like he can help you.
Got it.
So he'll always pick up, and I didn't know it at the time, but I think that's what he was doing. So he just picked up the phone. We had this like amazing hour-long conversation where he was just sort of like he was just trying to like gather. I didn't realize it at the time, but he was just sort of like really checking on like how I was doing, what I was doing, everything. We had this amazing conversation.
Brad.
And then he was like, oh yeah, sorry, what was like the reason that you actually called?
Yeah.
And I was like, at that point I was just like I didn't say it, but in my head I was like, fuck, I wish I didn't have to ask him for something or like request something.
Yeah.
It was just like wanting to just be like, oh no, I just called to just see how you were doing.
Right.
Just like, thanks, and hang up. But I was like, fuck, I gotta like, now I gotta like, you know, solicit something from him. And I was like, we're doing a whiskey documentary. And the first thing he was just like, you know, people have called me about that all the time. There's no way I'm not doing it. And I was like, hear me out. And then I told him like what we were going to do, and kind of like what, you know, like at that point, like, you know, like we had like Kearns involved, and like everyone was down for this thing, and everyone was on the same page of this. And he was like, yeah, I'm down. Like I'll do it. I'll make time. And he was like amazing to work with, but it was just, but that was definitely a thing that I clued in later, but that's something that, you know, he'll do. Like he says it, but he really will do that. Like he'll pick the phone up and he'll talk, and he's willing to help. And even like for both of those guys, like when like as soon as Kearns heard about Jeff passing away, like he called me like right away, you know, and I had a great conversation with him, and it was something that really helped, and just like, you know, just advice and stuff like that about like being, you know, kind of like dealing with that stuff, or just like little kind of like practical things that could kind of help. And then, you know, when I talked to Johnson as well, because we kind of like postponed a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And I was just saying, like, this isn't an excuse, but it's just like, this is why that we're pushing it off, you know, like I got to go and do this other stuff. And then I had like, he talked to me for like an hour about that. And he had a ton of stuff to share too. Cause he lost a lot of, you know, important people to him. Like, oh my God, I can't remember. Like Neil
DeFern or
Neil
Edgeworth.
Sorry. Edgeworth. I
want
to say Neil Hendricks.
He was there. He was
yeah,
there,
yeah.
Which is that's crazy.
Yeah. So he had that experience too. So just even in that, like it was something that he could have just been like, oh yeah, like I just don't worry about it and hang up. But he like took the time to like,
he cares a lot
to care about that stuff. So it is funny because it's like kind of even still the first thing you get from him is just like that feel is that he's just like, because I mean he'll make fun of you like mercilessly about
totally
anything, right? But it is just funny. But he like both those guys care like a lot, right? And they're down to give you their time. Like,
it's unbelievable
for nothing.
How generous it is, right? It's unbelievable how generous it is. I can see a future where both of them are so run off their feet that they just have to put it behind a paywall, and people are going to have to pay a lot of money to get into that space, because the demand is going to be very high for both these guys.
Yeah, and I see like that's kind of like how the project, I think, like kind of like, or how it kind of keeps going, or the sort of, you know, like it's just been shown the one time or whatever, but there's still all this thing. And the biggest thing out of the movie is just really to kind of get people having a conversation, which that's the goal. And I think, like, not to be self-congratulatory, because it's basically, you know, the power of that is Kearns and Johnson and Ellis and all these people like talking and stuff, but it has done that, you know.
So this is your episode, and this is to celebrate you. Like, I think what you've done and the timeline over which you've done it, from seeing the whiskey video to coming up and working on your own abilities as a filmer, to the podcast that you did with Kearns over several months, I'm sure it was, right? And however that happens,
it was working on that. Like that was like over about a year.
Let me congratulate you here, dude. The movie is like, it's like, there's no amount of money that could make a better movie about this particular topic. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way to make this better by throwing money at it and fluffing it up. It's like, you made a movie that's so engaging. The people next to me were in their 80s, and they just had a Whistler Film Festival pass.
Yeah.
You know? And they were like, we just came to see this. They sat in the front row, and I could hear the 80-year-old man beside me reacting to everything from like, oh my God, this partying is insane, right? Like laughing and being like, this seems incredible, to being like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever, you know, and I'm projecting on him, but like, it sounded like experiencing the vulnerability. And like when they're talking about like how men were before, like I can hear this guy getting choked up. He's in his 80s, you know? He's like, wow, this is powerful shit.
Yeah.
They both said at the end that it was very powerful, moving movie. Glad they saw it, which I was like, oh, that's cool.
I know. Because I saw them in the front, and I was like, I hope they didn't like come into the wrong movie.
Because I said, whose parents are you? And they went, we're not. We're just, we're film festival pass holders. And I was like, holy shit, how is this going to be for them? I can't even imagine. But the lady, as she was turning, she'd been thinking about it for a long time, and she turned and said, uniquely brilliant. I think that was the words that she used.
Yeah, you were saying.
And I was like, dude,
that's,
she summed it up.
Yeah.
So you have made a uniquely brilliant movie. It's obviously not just you. There's a lot of people that worked on it, and a lot of things came together.
But the through line that is you, the filming, directing, editing, fuck, you nailed it, dude.
No, thank you so
it's
much.
It's epic. It's such a good movie.
No, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was really like an amazing crew, though, for sure. Like, you know, like Ryan Stutt, who produced it. He like found the funding. You know, he like obviously like fronted a lot of that money, you know, to like be able to make it so that like
he believed in it that much.
Yeah,
he knew
he believed in it that much. He took a massive risk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like even just, you know, trusting that we'd be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like taking that, like we got funding from a grant from TELUS, but it's like, that's obviously not like no strings attached. You know what I mean? Like they kind of give you the money, you sign the contract, and then you got to deliver that, right? So that's
and you got to get it into festivals like this or something. Like it's got to. You need to make a festival ready movie.
He put his ass in the line. Like he believed in it. Like he put a lot of trust. Like
where
a ton
did
of
Ryan
trust
come
in me.
from? Why do I know his name?
Ryan Stutt he's originally from Ontario, but he lives in Calgary now.
Yeah.
But Ryan Stutt owns King Network. So he owns like King Snow,
cool,
like Forecast,
sick,
like King Skate. He started like King Shit. He came from like SBC Skate. He worked there for a while.
Yes.
But then he started King Shit, and then that ended up being like King Skate, but then King Snow and stuff like that. So like,
sick, dope.
Yeah, so like super sick. So he's got like skate background, but like I mean, obviously from that, he like understands.
What a wonderful thing. Yeah. Like just like when Snowboarder was sponsoring movies, like a Snowboarder movie has access to certain just elements of the community. Yeah. That's dope. And so, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. And like he's, you know, he's got a lot of great insight. Like obviously I do a ton of, like most of my work outside of that for the last few years has been with like King Network anyways, like so King Snow, like all the other stuff, like we've done a bunch of other bigger kind of commercial things and stuff like that.
Cool.
And it's been like, honestly, like it was great. Like I went through a time where I was just like sort of like burnt on working for like, you know, kind of like big like companies that were just like a big kind of stress, and I just was like thinking like, oh, it would be sick to work with the guys from like I had met Ryan Stutt like once, but I was like, I knew Jesse worked there and I knew Crispin worked there, and I was like just looking for stuff that I was like, who am I going to be like stoked to work with? And I was like, those guys are cool. Like I like those guys. I like Jesse, and we like lived pretty close at that point, like in Vancouver. And I just reached out to him. I was like, if you ever need help like doing anything, I would be like stoked to do something.
Rad.
And he was like, yeah, for sure. Like I can give you some stuff to do.
Oh.
And we kind of just did that stuff, and then right kind of after that, like it really started to pick up with like getting, you know, some other projects and stuff like that. Like we did Toyota stuff and everything, but a real big difference there was like, you know, dealing with those bigger companies. Like Ryan was always very like protective of like all the stuff. Like he, you know, sort of like bore the brunt of the storm with like dealing with the agencies and stuff, you know? Where it was like they were, you know, kind of too demanding or too crazy or like had some crazy note, you know. He was always, like the difference was always just like, yeah, no, we don't have to do this, like I'll deal with it, you know what I mean? So it's like amazing. So it's just been like amazing, like doing all that work, like such a different thing from anything that I've really, you know, experienced. Like always someone that's like down to like, you know, kind of put his ass on the line for the people that are like working
for his team.
For his team, for sure.
Advocate for the team, and just
like
not let bullies like push you around and be like, work you guys like to the bone.
You know what I mean? Because it'd be easy for him to just be like, you got to do it. You know, we just got to do exactly what they say or this, you know, like, but just like, and just be kind of done with it. But like he's always done that, so he's great, you know, great to work with in that way. Like so he's been awesome to work with. And then, to do this with him, you know, just to kind of like go to that next level, you know, for
big time,
for kind of both of us to like do something else was awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And like, like again, like I can't stress enough, like the risk he took, the belief that he kind of had in everything was was massive. And just
was it a 2-year project or?
We kind of like we did a bunch of stuff. Let me come back and just talk about like Anthony too. But
please,
we did a bunch of stuff. Like there was a bit of a gap. Like we did a few things that we kind of got
started to get the ball rolling.
Like started to get the ball rolling kind of thing. And we had this. That was before we got the grant from TELUS. And at that point too, we were kind of looking at a way broader story. Like we were kind of looking at almost like not almost. We were looking at the whole, basically the whole 90s.
The history of snowboarding.
Yeah, like the history of snowboarding, but like in the 90s, because it's a pretty interesting decade there, where it's like goes from snowboarding goes from maybe being a fad to then being like the fucking biggest thing, like in the Olympics, like all of that
all in that
era,
one
even a little
decade,
bit into like the early 2000s. It's crazy too, because it's even when you look at that, like Kearns and Johnson kind of like encompass that whole thing. They go from like, making whiskey to then being like the fucking guys.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and just their whole progression across that too is real interesting. The other thing, which like, it was also like the Kearns and Johnson were like instrumental in getting sledding going. Like they were like the pioneers in doing that stuff. You know what I mean? And it was like, but it just, once we sort of figured out like the depth that those guys were willing to go into, like I knew Kearns was going to bring a bit of that, but I didn't know how far he was going to go. Yeah. And we didn't know, and then once we kind of saw that, we didn't really know, it seemed like it was going to be like, we're like, this probably is wider spread, but we didn't know like if it was going to be. So but once we started to interview people, it was just this string that kind of like went through everybody. Everybody dealt to varying degrees, but everybody dealt with this stuff. And it was very centered around like like father as well too, like father stuff, you know what I mean?
100%.
So it was like all connected to that, and it just sort of started to like happen kind of dominoes. And it was like everybody we went to, like I had like no idea about Johnson's story going into
Neither
that.
did I, coming into the movie last night, and I've interviewed him for 2 hours at his house and talked with him on the phone a few times.
Going into his interview, we like, no one had any idea about that. It was almost like, I think, because it wasn't across the board. There was like guys where you could almost tell where it was like, okay, he'll probably not have an issue, where it's like,
he's well adjusted.
It was like he was always kind of able to sort of like, ride that line. Devin, it was like going into that, you're like, I think when we get to this topic, like he's not gonna have a story there,
right?
Even so, just on the side thing, those guys were very still very like into the fact that we were diving into that stuff, even though they didn't have a personal experience. It was like we never encountered anybody that was just like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So like just to say that for sure, those guys are definitely still into it. They weren't scared. They weren't like off, like not wanting to talk about it.
Oh, this is what this is about.
But it was just that they truly did. That wasn't their experience, right?
Totally.
And you could kind of tell a little bit, when people were kind of have that. But it was like for Johnson, it was like, we were like, I don't know. I don't think it didn't really seem like he seems like he might be the outlier of someone that like had that issue, but like didn't have it. And then as soon as we asked that question, he went right into it, and he got into it and he laid everything out. And it was like, it was massive too. Even going into it, I was like, I don't know. Even when he said he was into it, I was like, I don't know how much he's going to be that into it. And then when he started going, it was just like, holy shit, that was like the most amazing experience ever. So once we kind of, even when we did his interview, we were still talking about the sledding stuff. We were still talking about all of that story.
Right.
But then once we really looked at it, it was like, it's too big of a story to like kind of like give.
Even their story's too big. Totally,
yeah, for sure.
Man.
So it's like it's just so big that it was just like we're not gonna do justice to all of these pieces. It's in order to do that. Once you kind of figure out all the stuff, it's like that's like a 4-part series.
Yeah,
which like
that's right. I mean? You could have made it
4-hour probably 4-hour series.
Yeah.
That dives into each aspect of it, but under the package of a movie, you had to. I mean, you stuffed it into 2 hours. It seemed like when I heard it was 2 hours, I was like, "Are you guys serious?" That went by so fast because it's so fun at the beginning.
No, that's glad to hear. Yeah.
And then it's so engaging. You're kind of going, "Holy shit!" What? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So the one thing you said yesterday that was, I can really relate to it. It's like screening it in front of the Whistler audience and doing the premiere. That's not the hard part. The hard part is putting it in front of the Seans, and
For
just
sure, yeah.
because they're so honest and they're so.
Yeah.
It was the best when Kearns really lets out that little, in my opinion, that little micro truth about, you put me stand-up paddleboarding out there. Yeah. You know how hard that was for me to watch me stand. I'm butchering what he said, but it's like, it's so personal and so raw and so like, it's almost like unbelievable. It's like, dude, do you need me to? I've had people on the show say, I can't put that out, and it's nowhere near that kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it's personal to them in a way that they're like, I don't think I can live knowing that I've said that publicly without having anxiety about it all the time. So I'm like, holy shit, dude, I don't want you to have any anxiety at all. We'll record again some later time when you're in a different headspace. Don't worry about it. And I'll make sure to stay away from that topic. So there's a chance you show Kearns and Johnson this movie, and they're such a big part of it that if they're like, you can't fucking put that in, you go, okay, well, I have to change the movie now. Let's start talking about sledding again because maybe that's where we go to.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about music. Let's talk about music rights. Let's find out. We need to talk about how Kearns basically cornered the music rights thing. Let's just, okay, how are we going to pivot?
Yeah.
But you said that, sorry, long-winded way of saying, you said, this is nothing compared to like,
yeah, so like going into the premiere, like it was like I was just more excited to kind of like show stuff, and just like what I was saying, I was like, I didn't really feel nervous kind of showing it because like we had the screening for those guys was like when I talked to Kearns about doing it, and I was like, okay, I got, like it's ready to sort of show you guys. Kearns was like, I think I would be super stoked to watch it with Johnson.
Wow. Cool.
So I was like, fuck, that's like amazing. So we figured that out. Johnson was down to do that, and we Kearns figured out a location. Like it was his friend Jim's house.
Yeah, I know
actually
Jim.
That's like where
shout out Jim.
The stuff in the like sea can is actually filmed outside there. So we met there. It's like halfway in between like Nanaimo and Souk. So like where Kearns lives, where Johnson lives, we met there and watched it.
Perfect.
And it was like me, Johnson, Kearns, and Jim, who was like, Kearns' friend. He knows Johnson as well.
Yep.
And he was awesome to have there too. It was really great too, because he was kind of had a similar experience to me growing up. He was like my age, so he like had the same relationship to the whiskey videos, and just to have someone else that had like no idea about anything about the movie, but is very like like emotionally intelligent too.
Totally.
So it was like he was great, really great to have there. But yeah, watching that, I was like, I was pretty confident that like that it was going to be what I had told those guys that we were going to do. Yeah. But it was also like there was also that thing, exactly what you're saying. Like you have to respect where it's just like 100%. They could say like, I don't want to do this anymore.
This is too much for me.
Yeah, this is too much, or I don't want to do this.
That's your choice, not mine.
When they watched it, and like the reaction that they had, it was like amazing. We had this amazing like talk afterwards. Like we talked for like an hour kind of thing, like getting into a whole bunch of other stuff. And it was like great, and they were like happy with it. We even like talked about how like it was a lot to kind of get those stories out, but they were they were down to do it, you know, like it had there was a reason to it, and they felt that it accomplished what it was going to do, and that was like get people talking about it or just break that stigma around being able to say these things, you know what I mean? So
fuck yeah,
that was like amazing. That was like the most amazing. I mean, and also too, like to have that experience of just like watching this with those guys, with like, you know, what whiskey kind of meant to me too. Like it was a crazy moment. I was like, you know, saying to Ryan before watching it, I was like, part of me is like, this is going to be like the most like, you know, like, like most like, you know, like nervous. It's the thing I'm like most nervous for, but also like I'm really excited to do it. But it was pretty crazy, and there's just certain things where you're like watching and you're like, okay, like are they, like where, you know, is there gonna be, what's the reaction? But like they, you know, were laughing and everything. It made it. It
has a lot of humor.
Yeah,
in it.
for sure.
Like mostly humor, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like even so like a lot of humor. They were laughing. They were having fun with those obviously parts that were like meant to be fun kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was that was a great experience. So it was awesome, and those guys were down, you know.
Tell me about the Anthony thing, because Vitelli is an old school Ontario pro rider turned filmer.
Yeah. So like,
and such a good dude. And he was part of the Circle guys, and he's like long history up in Whistler, and his filming's legendary.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like Anthony, a funny thing too for Anthony as well is like I when I was a kid, like even just being so into snowboard movies and wanting to be a filmer and stuff, like you looked at like I don't know if anyone else did, but like I would look at credits. Of course. So I would like want to know who the people were. Like so I knew like Gary, like just for editing, like Gary Pendergrass was like the name that like always came up. And then like Anthony was like, he was a dude like Mac Dog guy, Anthony Vitale. That's like a name that I just sort of knew. I didn't know what those guys looked like or anything, but it was just, you kind of just knew them from that. So it was like, oh, like that's like, he's a sick filmer. Always had that kind of in my mind. And then like over even when I was still even doing like Sandbox, I like kind of got to know Anthony. Like that's when he was doing like Whiteout and stuff. He actually became friends with Leyland, who was like my roommate, and that's kind of how I met him. Oh, cool. But we kind of became friends with him then, and he was just like always just like super approachable, so nice, like totally, you know, and just like best guy. So I was like, I've known Anthony for a long time. He ended up he worked for Monster. He was like in the like Monster kind of like media crew too when we were there. That. So we were kind of working together, dope. And we've always kind of done a bunch of stuff together. So then when we were doing this, Ryan was like, oh, you can pick whoever you want to film it. And I was like, oh, well, like Anthony is sick. Like the guy, even without his background, like Anthony's going to be like the guy. He had shot like documentaries and stuff like that before. You know, like he worked on the Jake documentary, like another one, like Any One of Us. They're like HBO documentaries and stuff. So I was like, that, like Anthony's the guy, you know what I mean, to do it. But then also Anthony was an original filmer of whiskey. Like he filmed that famous opening. The opening of Whiskey, Johnson trying to break the beer bottle over his head, that's Anthony filming.
That's Anthony filming.
Yeah. So like
epic.
Yeah, so that's Anthony filming. So I mean, it was amazing working with him, just even on like the technical side, because like we had like it's a small budget and we had a small crew. Like for the most part, like we ended up having like sound for like finishing, and we had like animator obviously, but for the rest of it, it was just the three of us. It was like me, Anthony, Ryan. Like Anthony ran both cameras and recorded audio as well. So he was like the sound recordist as well. Right. But like did like amazing stuff, lighting, put in like a ton of work into like figuring out, cool lighting stuff. We were always working in like, just like we just sort of we set up a couple things where we would like maybe get like a better, like a borrow a house or something like that.
Absolutely.
To kind of do a better space. But for most of the time, we were just kind of going into wherever the hell we were, and you just had to set up and make stuff happen.
Yeah.
And like he made really sick setups for a lot of the stuff that was like crazy.
When we
shot Mike
pro.
Hager, we were like in this little garage. I sat on like the hood of a broken down van.
Wow.
And like did the interview from there.
Wow.
Because it was so tight, but when you look at it, you wouldn't really
Thanks
notice
for
that.
including Hager. That dude's epic, man.
Yeah, Hager is great. And like, so there was that part of it, but then also too, like Anthony being part of, like being a filmer, being part of it. I mean, he's interviewed too in the movie. He's got his interview is like integral in the pieces there. It was funny when we finished that interview. Because it was just like he set up his own interview, and then I was just like doing the questions and stuff, and was just like operating the camera. But like he was like, right at the end, he's like, don't use a lot of me though, just like a little bit if you really need to. And I was like, unfortunately, you did a really great interview, so
yeah, it's not gonna just be peppered in there, right?
But the great part is that when we were in the interviews, I think it was like a double piece where it was like when people were trying to remember somebody remember something or a story.
Yeah.
They had Anthony was there too to bounce the stuff off of. He could be like, oh, it was.
Oh, he adds another.
Happened,
yeah,
or
right.
Or and then over time when he was he was reliving all these things. It was like someone would have be like, I don't know, where were we or something like that, or have a point where they forgot something, and he could be like, oh, like remember this because he was there, or like just add in like other stuff. But then I think too, it really was like, like you obviously for doing interviews and stuff, you try and like, it's you would know it, you build that rapport, you're trying to make people feel comfortable. But then I think too, which really lent like a real benefit to it is that even we had like just having that small crew, that it wasn't like you had this like random sound guy there or something.
Totally.
But then you also came into it with, there were some people that I knew pretty well, but everybody was like, it wasn't just like there's this random guy that's going to be filming it. It's like there was someone else there that they were really comfortable with.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So that was a really big thing. It wasn't, even if it was someone that I didn't really know very well, it wasn't like there's this whole crew that you're talking about this stuff, It was like Anthony already had like 40-year relationship with most of the people there. So it was
totally
just that comfort that kind of added to stuff. And it was great. Like it was just like an awesome person to go on all these things with and shoot with and stuff. It was
I talked with him last night for the first time at length since, I've probably talked to him 3 times, 4 times. Rode with him in Lake Ridge and then saw him out in Whistler in the early 90s. And reminded him of that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember that." And then tried to remind him of that. Now he's like, "Dude, I've met so many people,
for sure,
and done so much stuff. I'm really sorry. I don't want to insult you. I have no idea about that." And I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
But having watched you all the way through, having watched Anthony all the way through his career, and how important he became to the industry, and like you're saying, 40-year relationships with some of the most important people in pioneering snowboard filmmaking. That's the main thing that I think of Anthony being known for. Is like he's filmed some such iconic stuff, and with such a diverse group of like incredible snowboarders.
For sure.
And all those eras.
And I think for him too is the commitment as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's very committed to it. He's very into it. He like, you almost sometimes on setting up the shots and stuff, it was like, okay, dude, like it looks good. Like we're ready to go. Like he always wanted to try and like take it just that much further. You know what I mean?
Unreal.
And so it was great versus just like someone can just be like, nah, whatever, I'm gonna get paid either way, like it's good enough, like,
right,
you know,
right.
It was like he wanted to always, he was like very committed to that, very into like what he's doing and stuff. So I think that makes a big difference, right?
That's the energy of the whiskey movie, right? Like that's what the magic of it was. I think he did a really good job tying it all together at the end, and a shot of, there's a very famous shot from the whiskey movies of Johnson and Kearns on a couch, no shirts on, kind of arms around each other. And it's easy in the footage, I would imagine, as an editor, to pick the menacing moments, right, where they look like kind of evil, actually. There's times where they look at the camera like they're going to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
But you did a great job of bringing it back and playing that moment for a few longer moments, and there's smiles and there's genuine friendship, and there's a shared experience that you can see through the pixelated grainy footage from back then. That was like, these guys are great friends, and then that comes across
for sure. Like in going through all the tapes, because like I actually had, it wasn't just like a drive, like I had the high 8 tapes.
Yeah.
I have a good story about like actually like how we got those.
Did you have to go to Mouse's place and get them from the rafters? Were they one of those boxes that were up in the...
No, like because Kearns and Johnson still had those.
Wow.
They kept that box.
Yeah, because I remember seeing he had like the end, he had like milk, he had all that stuff.
But actually like we like got the raw tapes,
the actual box,
the box, like the high 8 tapes.
Incredible.
So it was like when we went to get the like archive stuff, I'll tie into about what I was gonna say, but yeah, anyways, when we went to get the archive stuff, I was like, even like asking Johnson about it, I was like, he could easily just be like, I don't want to give you guys this stuff at all, or just be like, you know what I mean?
Some of the stuff on there is like, he's got kids,
so
he's got a kid and a wife. Like
it is that risk kind of thing. So I was just like, still, I was like, you know, he doesn't have to do this, but I asked him, and he was just like straight up. He's like, yeah, you can come and get it. He's like, you can come and get it whenever you want. And I was like, can I come and get it like tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, for sure. He's like, I'm not digging through it. Like, you just have to go and do it. He's like, that's the thing. You just have to go and do it. I'm not going to dig through it. I'll let you into the storage room where it is, and you just have to do everything. And then I was like, yeah, for like, no worries at all. And he was like, but you got to make me one promise. And I was like, yeah, for sure, whatever it is. And I was thinking like he's gonna say like, don't use this or something like that. Totally. He's like, just don't bring it back to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's like, but I was like, yeah, for sure.
Like he's give it
to Kearns, or you own it now, kind of thing. So I mean, I'm still not gonna like hold him to that like at all. But yeah. So I was like, I showed up there, got all of this stuff. It's funny because he was even like, do you want like do you want all the like forum stuff that I did too? Do you want like the Stepchild movie? Do you want all this other stuff? Just
That's
like
incredible.
You can take it all.
You want my trophies? Do you want my West Beach thing?
Stuff?
Like,
so,
yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't think I have space for like any of this shit really. But it's like, so I went through everything. I could find Whiskey 3 and Whiskey 4. Like there was a ton of stuff from Whiskey 4 because they had all the beta tapes, all the stuff because they were shooting 16 at that point.
Yep.
So, but I was like, I can't find anything for 1 and 2. So it was like, you know, that's great getting the Whiskey 3 and the Whiskey 4 stuff, but it's not really what the whole thing was about. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it was just fuck, if we don't have this footage, we could get a couple of things from Jamie Mossberg, but it was only the stuff that they had logged. So basically, it was anything that was in the movie. Would be like. And you had a little bit of tip and tail kind of thing. So they would log, and then they would put everything to beta tape. That was their backup instead of like a hard drive.
Got it.
So he's like, I'll have these beta tapes. Maybe I can get them. So at that point too, it was like, fuck, we really got to find these. So we couldn't find these tapes. Johnson ended up actually going in and helping me dig through everything in the end. Just like the other thing too, where he's like, I'm not helping, but then he's like, always does.
Yeah.
But so he's going through everything, digging through all this stuff. We can't find them, and he's like, dude, I really don't know where they are. Like, I'm really not too sure. He's like, over the years, like people have kind of taken them, or like he's like, I don't know, I just haven't looked at the boxes. He's like, I assumed they were in there, but it's also it's a little box too, right? So it's like, he's like, I just always assumed they were in this stuff. So I was like, okay, shit, like this kind of sucks, but I guess we'll just have to figure it out. So I'm like leaving Johnson's house, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna call Kearns and just be like, just tell him what was up, and just be like, do you have any idea where else these things could be? And I call him. He's just like, oh, hey, how's it going? I don't even get to tell him the story. And he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? I was just about to call you, actually. He's like, I went to my sister's and I grabbed all this storage stuff and I moved it over to my friend Jim's, like where we watched where I first showed them where the sea can is and everything like that, like in the movie. And then he's like, I moved it to my friend Jim's house. And I'm going through all this stuff and I found the box of the tapes from Whiskey 1 and Whiskey 2. So he's like, I've got those tapes.
Isn't that unreal?
So I'm like, dude, I was just calling you because I was just at Johnson's house to pick all that stuff up and I couldn't find those things.
Okay, between you and me and the honesty of this film, like in this depth, have you ever had that experience with any other person? Like,
no.
It's like this deep coincidence. Yeah. One time I walked in his house.
Yeah.
And he said, the neti pot you want is this one, and he showed me like a nasal rinse.
Yeah.
And the thing, he's like, it's at London Drugs or wherever, and this is the one that you get. Well, I had been looking into that yesterday. I wasn't stuffed up. Like dude, it's such a random thing.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, you didn't ask me that? And I'm like, no, I didn't say it out loud. Yeah. You just started. That's the first thing you told me. For what reason? Why did you say that?
Yeah.
Because it's so insanely randomly. The coincidence is so humongous.
Yeah, for sure.
What are you fucking talking about? Are you like a clairvoyant? What is going on? Like, so honestly, did you feel in that moment like...
Oh, it goes even more.
Oh, please
okay, so we're like, okay, like, this is fucking amazing, dude. I was just going to call you to be like, we can't find this shit, like, anywhere. Like, where is it going to be? So he's like, yeah, dude, I've got it all for you. He's like, just like whenever you want to come by, I'll organize, like, I'll come out, we can come back to Jim's or whatever. Or I could take it with me, or we're like trying to figure it out. And I was like, oh, like, he's like, where are you right now? And I was like, oh, I'm still, like, I'm on my way back from Johnson's. Like, I've just left. Like, he didn't even know I was, like, on the road still.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I'm driving through there. And he's like, oh, like, I'm driving, like, on the, like, Malahat, like the highway from like Souk to Nanaimo.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm coming back from Johnson's. He's like, oh, dude, I'm at Jim's now. He's like, he lives in Mill Bay. Like, it's just off of the, like, on the Malahat. And I'm like, I had just moved to Gabriola, so I'm like not super familiar with that highway. So I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah, it's off of the Malahat. Like, you're on the road that it would be on. He's like, and I was like, oh, like, he's like, where are you? Like, like, have you passed it, or like, whereabouts are you? I'm like, dude, I've just been having this because we started talking about other stuff too.
Yeah.
I was just like having this conversation. Like, I talked to him for a while, and I was like, dude, honestly, I don't even know where I am. Like, I think I'm like past Duncan even. I have no idea. So he's like, dude, like, because I was like, if you're there, even no matter where I'm at, I'll turn around and I'll get it right now. You know what I mean? Like, we were just making plans to get it another day until he knew, like, I was on, because, like, I had no idea where Jim's house was or anything. I was like,
sure.
I thought he was actually in Vancouver or something like that.
Right.
So, like, but anyway, so I was like, he's like, yeah, just, I'm in Mill Bay. And I'm like, I don't know where that is even. I've never heard of Mill Bay before. And I was like, driving, and I'm just like, okay, there's a sign coming up here. I'll tell you, like, where I'm at, and then you can kind of tell me where to go. I'm driving up, and he's like, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, I'm in Mill Bay. And he's like, okay, just take your first left. I'm like, right there. So I, like, take the left. It's just like, it's such easy directions too. Like, you just take a left off the highway and you go up, and, like, I pull into Jim's place, and then he has, like, all of the stuff in the garage that he was, like, kind of going through and, like, showing me. He has this, like, giant tub of photos and the box of tapes. So, like, basically, like, all of the archive stuff was right there.
Yeah.
Like all of those photos, a ton of the stuff. Like I got some extra stuff from people, but all of that archive stuff really was like, even like the BCSA stuff, a lot of the skating stuff, everything was all just from that box, this tub of stuff that he gave me. And then, so I got that, and I was like, we were like, that was fucking crazy. That was like nuts. And he was like, in the stuff that you got from Johnson, was there this like VHS tape in like a black like cassette holder? Like, he's like, that's what I was actually looking for when I was going through all this stuff. But he's like, I can't find it. And it was just from this like other stuff, like from when he was like, you know, just like a skate contest that he like wanted to see, that he like won or whatever, that he like saw. And
that's
he was,
a big contest.
Yeah, just like
that's
wanted
dope.
to see. And he was like, oh, like, can I just, I was like, oh, well, I don't know. Like I was grabbing so much stuff. And I was so focused on the whiskey, these little tapes. I was like, I just grabbed everything and put it in there. I wasn't even really like paying attention to what things looked like. I was just looking and being like, okay, that's not it, kind of thing. And then, so he was like, oh, like, can I have a look? I was like, yeah, you can just have a look. So he opens up the first tub, and the thing's just sitting, like, not kidding, like right on the top. And he was like, oh my God, dude, like that's the tape. And he was like, he like picked it up, and I remember he was like holding it like so tight. He was like, holy shit. And we were just like, that was fucking crazy. And I was wild. Like, couldn't believe it. And I was like, it's like driving home, I like called Ryan and told him the story, and it was just this like roller coaster of emotion, because I was like, I told him too, like intentionally, like kind of like I couldn't find the tapes, and he's like, oh there. Dude, like we're fucked. Like,
yeah,
like what is gonna happen? And then like all this stuff, so it was like just crazy. But yeah, and then it was amazing too, like just the experience of going through all those tapes. And it was like these, before that they were just sort of stored in, like, I don't know at what point Kearns got them or whatever, but for a while they were just stored in like Johnson's like shed in Squamish.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, they got wet and a bunch of other shit and just like not really being taken care of.
Oh,
and
shit.
Then, so
that's not
a lot
good.
of them, when it was like going to like log all the footage, goes through the tapes, they would just snap. Like I would just put them in and they would snap right away.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, fuck, like the things
sucks.
are just brittle. But then I was like looking at it and I was like, oh, there's like a bunch of mold. Like that is like grown on the inside of the thing. So I was like, I bought like a Hi8 camera. Like it was like the last year of the like Sony Hi8 cameras that they made, and the thing was like mint. So it was like, and it came with like an unused cassette, like a Hi8 cassette. So I was like, with a little screwdriver, like open those up.
Love it.
And then I could take it out, because I looked up like how they would deal with that stuff at like a duplication house or something.
Totally.
So I was like, took those things off, open it up, take the reel out, like scrape the mold off of it, like wash it off, and then like put it into the new cassette, like tape it back up where it snapped, and then like put it in, and then like log that. And honestly, dude, some of those like single tapes snapped like 3 times.
Yep.
And you just like got to go back and like do it. And it was like 75% of them would just like snap. So it was also too, it was that then it became time consuming, because I was like, fast forwarding it is going to make it fucking worse. So
yeah, you're going to snap it a million times.
Log
you gotta
like all of these things.
Yeah.
And then
and how long are each of those tapes? Like
they
2
have
hours,
a lot.
They're
like, they're about 2 hours if you're doing like long play, which they were doing.
I still have some from like when my kid was really young and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was cool. And it was funny too, like some of the things, it was cool to see, but then it was also something that was like, just sometimes just like, fuck, like, because those guys just like at that point too, like they weren't really like, you know, super versed in like making movies and stuff. Right. So they would just like forget to stop recording. So it would just be rolling,
pointing at some
like just
random
sitting on like
thing.
sitting on a like even just on like someone's dashboard for a while they were driving, and you would just get all these conversations. And there was this like funny one where I was just, you know, it's not super useful, but on that side it was like you would go through this whole tape and you're just like, oh, most of this is just like nothing. It's just like a camera, just a record, just left on record.
Yep.
So, but one of the ones was like, yeah, you just pick up like funny conversations, just like nothing like super usable, but it was actually like one where I kind of like deciphered that Kearns was talking to Anthony, because like Anthony was like a West Beach team manager, so he's telling him that, you can hear that he's telling him that he got this job, and it's like, oh, I only have to go down to Vancouver like once every 2 weeks and stuff, and it's like I think it was like, oh, I get like $500 a week or something, or like, you know,
amazing.
Like, or probably not that much, but like probably less, but like it was like talking about the pay and stuff and everything, or just like doing these different things.
Time warp.
All right. And it was, the funniest thing was like, Kearns was like, okay, yeah, like we got like in like a week, we got this World Industries check coming. So it must have been when they like sold the rights to Whiskey 2 to like World Industries. Yeah. So he's like, we've got this like world check coming, so we're gonna have money then. But like me and Johnson borrowed like $500 from someone else or whatever. But he's like, when we get that world check, we'll get the dirt bike fixed up and then we'll give it to you. So like Anthony's payment was an old dirt bike for like filming. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it was fun just to like kind of see stuff like that, or just like weird little things.
Yeah, a little voyeuristic kind of look into people's lives.
But yeah, so it was amazing.
That's rad.
Kind of just experience like all around. Like it was hard work. Like I say, like I probably lost like a couple years of my life like working on this, but it was definitely worth it. You know, like
you're talking about the stress, or
or just like
the heaviness of taking on the responsibility for making.
Like there was also like there was the heaviness as well, and just like kind of like taking that on. It was like that was really real, you know, listening to those things over and kind of over again, and just like really thinking about that and figuring out how you're gonna like do it properly. Another thing too that like I kind of from doing the interviews, I kind of had like the back half of it sort of like in my head, like how it would all work, but I needed to do the front half for it to like kind of make sense, and I knew that I needed to get that kind of out of the way. But like for a few months it was kind of crazy, because I was like, I want to kind of get this out of my head, but I need to do this other thing, and it was kind of like a bit like stressful in that way. And it was just like so it was just dealing with like a lot of those things. But I mean, it wasn't like bad, but it was just, and also just like,
I understand.
We also did make it in a pretty short period of time, for a pretty short window as far as like a feature documentary that's like 2 hours. So, but that's like joking, but it definitely like, it was hard. It was something that we took really seriously and had a lot of weight to it, you know, like, and that was like Ryan too, you know, like we had really great conversations, and that was something that it was like, again, hard, but it was like also really fulfilling to like just have this big conversation and just sort of like broach like how we're gonna, you know, like how like it, you know, like paying you know, like is how we're laying, you know, like is this you know, looking at someone telling that story and just being like, okay, like this is we're doing this properly, you know what I mean? So like having those
because you're not
like,
you don't have a bunch of examples of how to do this.
You're
not going, oh, this is kinda, like this documentary or whatever. It's like you're actually breaking new ground.
Yeah.
In how it's portrayed, how men's health is portrayed. Really, you are. Like, I haven't seen anything like that.
No, thanks.
I don't think that. Yeah, so like the responsibility to get it right when somebody else has just brought you such incredible stuff.
For sure.
And we're only really talking about Johnson and Kearns here, but there is there is an element of many other people, even the light-hearted stuff of Jeff Moore talking about, you know, I was the pranks guy, and then within a couple of sentences he's saying, so now we're filming crimes, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like my job now for a few months is to film some crimes.
Yeah.
And the heist scene, and oh man, that's so fucking awesome. Like just the way he's talking about, you know, meeting at a restaurant and all that stuff. It's so cool.
It was cool. So everyone is really great storytellers.
Yes,
for all that stuff. Like obviously people know Kearns is a great storyteller, but like Johnson, great storyteller, incredible. So funny.
Devin,
everybody like Nix, Devin, everybody.
The Devin,
like,
the Devin.
Yeah, he's got like his punchlines are amazing.
He's one of the funniest dudes. He's got the best timing.
Yeah, his delivery on
really
some of his stories
has the best timing.
Is real funny.
If you ever sit with Devin when he's reminiscing about the old days, it's nuts. Yeah. It's nuts the things that guy's seen and done. It's unbelievable.
For sure.
Yeah. And it's partially because, you know, he was with these whiskey guys and real things were happening.
Yeah.
Like real life things that are bizarre are going on all around you. And then sometimes people are filming them.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It was a thing that just it didn't fit in there. It was just kind of like diverted too much from the story. But like Devin was actually at the Vaughn's parking lot thing. He wasn't, because he was filming with Mouse. And those guys didn't really want him in the movie for whatever reason. He didn't really know why, but they were just like, Devin, he's whatever. We don't want Devin in there.
Cutesy kid or whatever.
He was down there for like when they were editing Mouse's movie. He was down there and he was at the Vaughn's parking lot. He was skating. He was like learning 360 flips off like a speed bump. Sick. And he was watching all of that stuff going on, just like what?
Wow, that really blows that open. That's so nuts because it feels so intimate, and the way they tell the story, it's almost like you think Johnson's just down there filming.
Yeah.
For a second, it's just the two of them, and they come back, and they're like defeated. We didn't get the shot.
Yeah.
But having Devin skating around the back, just kind of either shaking his head or figuring out like, well, this is what we're gonna do
like,
when
what the fuck's
we make
on?
our videos.
Yeah.
Wildcat stuff.
Yeah. No, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and those Mouse movies are completely like they're just like a Mac Dog
for sure.
movie. They're good. They're just like good footage.
Mouse too was awesome to work with. He did get us those tapes and the stuff, like some of the beta tape stuff that was like, because he contributed some footage too, and like the other thing too was those guys used like his camera to film all that Vaughn stuff. So he had the Vaughn stuff, but he dug through his storage and like got all that stuff.
Sick.
Got it digitized in California for us. Did everything.
What a sweetheart.
He was great to work. It was awesome meeting him down there too.
I've interviewed him at his house in his garage. He's the best.
Yeah, he was. Awesome.
He had one of those moments too, where like all of a sudden, there was a moth flying by when he was talking about Sonny Garcia, who had passed away, and he's like, Sonny? He was like, a moment where he's like, this is super sick, man. Yeah, those coincidence moments, I live for them now. I find when I'm in my integrity, they happen.
Yeah,
and they blow me away.
Those things are interesting though. Those coincidences.
Yeah,
my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Nick Tizard, he'll probably be listening to this, but he's big on those. He's got like so many that are just like crazy coincidences. I can't think of like one off the top of my head.
Well, the one you just told is like,
that was nuts.
Open the box. There's the thing.
That,
he calls you when you're thinking about it. It's like those are wild. Those are wild.
It was nuts. Like we couldn't believe it. We were like losing it in the driveway. We're like, this is fucking crazy. And it was such a roller coaster too, of just like, I have no idea how we're gonna get this footage, and it might be something that kind of like tanks the whole fucking thing.
That we might be at the end of the thing.
We might I don't know how we're gonna do this.
That's like
so then all
1
of a
in the
sudden,
afternoon,
just like,
and then
to be like, oh, we've got it, and just like all this other stuff.
And you're driving home.
And then even more stuff too was like, it was crazy. Yeah, within like
that's
a couple.
Crazy.
It went from being like this shitty, it was just like, what the fuck are we gonna do, to being like, we're fucking set. Like, this is great.
Thanks so much for doing the show, man. I really appreciate it. And I really can tell that you were close with Jeff. Your voices are the same. You have the same tone and cadence. It's weird.
Yeah, Jeff was like a massive part of my life. Like I went to high school with him and Brendan. Like obviously he was older, but like he was someone, like it took a while to not a while, but like it to really put into words like when he passed, like why he meant so much to me. But he was like when I was saying, like when I had moved there, like I had a pretty good crew of people, but I feel like because Jeff and Brendan moved from Ontario, like probably like a couple years, about a year and a half after I had moved.
Yeah.
And like I had really good friends, but it was just like, wasn't really until I kind of like became friends with those guys that I really felt like I like, you know, kind of found my place kind of thing.
Cool.
And also too, because I think everyone else probably being more like realistic, you know, and nothing against it or anything, but it was like, everyone else was like, you know, snowboarding's great. It would be like awesome to be a pro snowboarder, to be in the industry or whatever. That would be great. But for me, it was like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to do it. There's no plan B.
Yeah.
And for when those guys came, that was their mentality kind of thing.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So it was like, there was just that kind of connection. And Jeff was, you know, like, it wasn't, he was just this like nice guy. Like, he would tell you when you were like messing up, you know what I mean? But it was like, he was like, for our crew, he was kind of everybody's big brother. But then also too, it was like what he kind of gave me was just that it was like that, you know, what I was just saying, like, it was like, that's what I wanted to do. And him and Brendan were just like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So like, Jeff really had that confidence of just like, yeah, like, you can make snowboard movies. Like, yeah, we're going to do it. Like, we're going there, you know what I mean? And we're all going to be able to do this. And he really did bring with Skids, you know, like, and later on with everything else. But for us, like with Skids, he really did bring everybody in there, you know, like, that's how Brendan got that part. That's how I started filming, you know what I mean? And that's how, you know, like, from that thing, that helped Brendan out getting more sponsors and stuff. Like, he really did bring everybody in, where he didn't really have to do that. It was just being like, convince Kevin that all of these fucking crazy kids, like, that is what the movie needs to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, he really did that, and kind of everything, you know, like, even when I lived there, it's like, he always really took really good care. Like, I was fucking loose for like a long time. Like, that's another thing too, like, him, like, you know, a lot of people, and rightfully so, like, Kevin, you know, a lot of my career and where I'm at is owed to Kevin, but Jeff was like 100% right there too, you know? And like, cause I mean, I wouldn't have met Kevin. I wouldn't have been able to get close to any of that stuff without Jeff, you know what I mean? But even when we were like early on, like, I was fucking loose, right? And it was like, I think I was filming like the Showcase Showdown or something. Like, it was during Skids, but it was like, I was going to get paid to film this contest.
Right.
But I ended up getting like wasted the night before. And at that point, Brendan and Nick had a suite, like, they were living in it. They were out of their van. And I just like passed out like on their couch. And at that point too, like, no, we didn't have cell phones either. So I was just like, gonna miss this contest. It didn't benefit Jeff or anything. It wasn't connected to Skids. It was just a thing that I had like, that Kevin, I think, hooked it up, but it wasn't like that, you know, it wasn't connected to Jeff or anything. And he noticed that I wasn't there. So he like tried to figured out where I was, came and got me, brought all of my stuff, my camera gear, everything, my stuff, got in the gondola with me, and like, he was tying my like boots up and stuff to like make sure that I like made it there, you know?
Yeah,
and
that's above and beyond.
Yeah, and that was that whole thing where it was like, you know, like, through all of those, through him and Kevin, was just like really made me be like, you know, kind of take it where it was like, oh, like, I need to take this a bit more seriously. But in like I say this in a really good way, it was a really good balance, where Kevin was like the harshness of that, like, you got to get your shit together.
Yeah. But
Jeff was more of like the sort of like the calmer kind of thing of that, and they kind of balanced each other out. So like, for kind of like helping me get to where I wanted to go, it was like having these two people that were just like kind of exactly what I kind of needed, you know what I mean?
Dope.
So it was great. So that was that big, like, a really big part of it. Of
course.
You know? And it was just always like throughout everything. And it was cool too we did a memorial video for, at his memorial. So I got to do like all these interviews, and it was a great experience too, to like, you know, it was heavy and it was hard, but you got to experience and sit down and have conversations with like everybody in his life, or some of the people that like sent like Leyland shot a bunch of them too, but it was like you got to, and he sent those, or some people filmed them themselves, but I still got to like watch all of those even too, and like kind of see it. So I got to like, for a lot of them, you know, you got to sit in a room and just like have a conversation about like why Jeff was important to somebody.
So rad.
And it was all these things, and like actually like Nate Laverty helped film a couple as well. It was awesome. Like everybody kind of came together and did this thing, but it was great sitting there and just kind of figuring it out, and like kind of really, it kind of like helped you kind of get a real grasp on stuff. So it was actually like a really amazing experience, you know, like not very many people would kind of get the opportunity to, like, if someone important passed away, to then have these in-depth conversations with like so many people that were like, you know, like, you know, that he was a real important part of their life, you know?
Yeah.
So it was heavy, it was draining, but it was awesome to do. And it was cool. A lot of people actually said very similar stuff, but you knew that they, like, someone would say it where it was like they didn't know each other.
Yeah.
They weren't connected. They didn't know that they were saying the same stuff, but they would have the same experience. They had the same feeling. And yeah, Jeff was just always someone, like Jess said it, like Sean Miskimen said it too, you know, different generations, different things. It was just like, he was always someone where it was like, if something crazy was going on, and it was like, if Jeff was there, it was just, somehow it felt okay, you know?
Yeah. I remember, you know, probably the most I talked to him, aside from the episode where I talked to him, was in the start shack of the baked salmon. I don't know if there was like a timing error or something, and I wound up in the start shack for a few minutes while they were ironing out stuff. And I think that's what makes sense, because he was talking about how stressed out he was. And if you can imagine Jeff Keenan talking about being stressed, he's laughing while he's talking about it. Like he's like at the top of Brockton. Yeah. And you look out the little start gate, it's this beautiful mountain in front of you. You look out the back, it's the peak, and he's stressing about some non-issue, doesn't matter anyways, right? Yeah. And this free event that he's putting on to benefit such a long lineup of amazing people behind me. Yeah. You know? And that was his stress, you know? That was his way of expressing stress, was kind of joking and laughing and smiling. I'm like, dude, I wish I could do stress like that. Yeah. Like, I'm yelly. Yeah. This guy is like just a beautiful human being in the world. Like, I get where you're coming from. It would be, I mean, just, we all get it. Like that Memorial Day for him was the best day at Mount Seymour that I've ever had, because there was the most amount of people there, and we all rode down in this weird, too close, too fast, just reckless abandon in a way that I've just never seen snowboarding like that. I've never snowboarded like that, and I've never been a part of snowboarding like that. Yeah. It's like if you had a border cross of 1,000 people. Yeah, for sure. It was wild. It was hilarious. It was like kind of the best thing ever. Yeah. Yeah. And not just kind of, it really left a mark on me.
So I think it will be, but I do hope that I'm positive that that's going to be like a annual thing.
Good. Know? Yeah. Yeah. Just a gathering. Yeah. Right? For sure. Don't turn it into a commercialized event or anything like that where you got to pay to get in it. It's just a gathering. Yeah. For the best guy.
And then also too, just to kind of end it off too, just like Spencer Forbes was another like great guy that passed away, and just chatted to Martin. Didn't know him super well, but thanks for taking the time to come, and you know, he didn't have to come and chase us down and tell us to go home, you know, like that's an awesome thing that he did.
Save your lives, probably. Could have easily.
Yeah, and Spencer, I went to a dinner at his parents' place.
Yeah.
And got a bit of the backstory there, and he has a great family, really supportive family. They're working really hard with him, and I think that was, and Scott too. So his twin brother was a big part of his life, and
and it was real eye opening to see like the struggle that like both those guys really had, you know, and how well they actually did deal with it, but it was just
kind of incredible, like an insurmountable addiction gene or whatever, you know, like that's a tough one.
They did, they did so well.
My God, Spencer was such a rad snowboarder.
Yeah.
Even like that was last year getting to ride with him on the chairlift. Every time he showed up, it was like, oh, dude, this guy's here. So rad. He's quiet and just like a part of the group, but like quietly going off. Dude's awesome. Well, thanks for doing the show. Thanks for being you. And I really appreciate what you've been doing, especially lately. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch. And
yeah, for sure, dude. That was a great
Where will the video be? When will the movie be available for people to kind of just like see?
It will probably be still a little while. We're gonna do still do like a festival circuit. Like It will come out on like Telus Optic TV, but we're gonna try and get it to hopefully something because that's just for like BC and Alberta, and just like you have to be subscribed to that. So we're gonna try and see if hopefully get it to something bigger, but but that's kind of held off until we're done like festival circuit. But we'll be doing premieres. I don't know exactly when for sure, but definitely in the new year for like Vancouver and like Alberta, Calgary and stuff. And then
when you know the dates, let me know, and I'll put it out on the podcast, because the listeners of the show are going to want to see this one.
For sure.
Big time.
So I definitely want to we all want to try and get it out as fast as possible, but it's just there is a bit of that process of like trying to get it to somewhere, a platform that like it can be seen by the most people.
Yes,
will just kind of take a bit of a process to get there, but
when you do, that's going to be just next level. Yeah,
for sure.
Killer, homie.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, man. Dude. FNRad shoutouts this week to Clayton Larson and his newest film, Our Kind of Chaos. I can't recommend it enough. Special thanks to listener Sammy Hughes Gordon for sending such an awesome Instagram DM that really warmed my heart. Thank you very much. Welcome Ryan Chaput, Gentle Brad, and Steve Swenson to the FNRad Patreon family. I'm ramping up my engagement on Patreon as I try and step back from social media a bit, a move to connect with the people who are supporting the show directly. The way Patreon works is that followers of FNRad's Patreon get all the episodes in audio without advertising, and everything I post on Patreon comes through as an email, and all comments and messages are read by me. You can join for free, and there are 3 paid tiers. This week, I asked Patreon listeners about what Burton gear I should get, and amazing people like JP Vachon, Chris Green, Steve Maddox, and Gentle Brad reached out with meaningful suggestions that helped me put in my first Burton order ever. I definitely feel like I'm learning to speak Burton. Excited. So please come back next week for another episode of FNRad Snowboarding, presented by Flojoy Water and brought to you by FNRad Productions.